Very good approach there from Neko. Jonak from downtown.
And there is a final blow from Swoosh, actually. Nice shot again from Tvik.
First tick done for New York, and they look like they're not showing any signs of slowing down.
And the kills continue to pile in here for Florida.
And Sabiobi now will have to find another way to strike a killing blow here.
That's one incredible match down. 2 more to go. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Overwatch League regular season. We are live in the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles, California, and you're stuck with me, your host, Chris Puckett. I got the whole desk back, though. We got Bren, who got a lucky guess right in his first matchup, Reinforce, who was incorrect, and Zoe, who fortunately didn't have to make a prediction. But Zoe, I want to get your thoughts. What did you think when you saw the final score? Houston back on top over London.
Well, I always believed in those guys in green.
Oh, yeah, right.
Always.
Okay.
Of course.
Yep.
You have no video footage proving otherwise. So
She goes for the Valiant as well. It adds up.
Yeah,
I see
you know.
where you're going with this one.
A color scheme going on. That's really it.
Let's catch everyone up at home of what they may have missed. The first series, it went to a Game 5 as Houston was able to edge out London back on Ilios. Up next, though, we got our #1 team, the New York XL, taking on Florida, and we close out the night. This is a big one, Boston versus Philly. Will Philly be able to get revenge today? Well, we'll find out about that match a little bit later, because it's time to start match number 2. Please make some noise as we welcome our first team to the stage. It's the New York XL. Now, the Excelsior are the leaders in the standings after stage 1. Remember, the playoffs, those don't affect our regular season, so they are 9-1 entering the day. And honestly, this is one of the scariest, most intimidating teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been tearing up stage 1, Puckett, man. They've been coming into these games. Honestly, the meta seems like it was kind of made for them, the way the Mercy went back into it. Arc is one of the best Mercies in the league. In general, this was super good for them, but the question is now, can they continue this momentum going forward when we're in a different meta game, when Lucio was being played? That is the question on my mind.
And you mentioned Arc, fantastic Mercy play throughout all of our first 10 matches. Well, Arc's not on the stage today. Zoe, what's going on?
Well, he unfortunately has suffered from a wrist injury. Now, Janus will be stepping in last minute, who I personally don't know to be a support player, so I'm interested to see how they're gonna work around
I
this.
mean, we could see Pine step back to the support role. We
Whoa,
saw him
whoa,
during
whoa.
the... Sacrilege! No,
Sacrilege,
during the
Johnny.
preseason we saw Pine on the support role, or we were
true,
waiting for
we
some
did.
birthdays to happen. So maybe we'll see some triple tank. We see Pine playing the support role. I mean, McCree, Sadyara. What's the difference? At least if you're asking Doa.
Dude, what a fantastic hat Pine is wearing right now.
Lovely.
Is he going to be on support? Is he on DPS? That is the big question. Jonas into the lineup for New York. Excel Arc is out with an injury, but it's time to introduce their opponent on the other side of the stage. Give it up for the Florida Mayhem. Florida, known for their entrances in the past, today showing some solidarity in light of recent events in Florida. And this squad, you know, they started stage 1 with the smallest roster in the league. So coming into stage 2, though, they really staffed up.
They really did indeed. We had 3 new additions to the roster, which it is second most additions any team has added to this stage. 2 of the guys coming from Korea, awesome guy as well as Saya player. And of course, their Finnish flex tank called Zapis will also be joining them. However, all 3 players are still working on their regular visa process. And once that is gone through, we're going to see them on this stage as well. But for now, it's going to be the starting 6.
And if you look at their record, these guys are a bit bummed by the stage 1 performance, but this is a squad that never gives up, Johnny. We were talking to Swoosh earlier today. He said, we're coming in strictly business.
Well, specifically, there's no more Mercy in the meta. You would think, right? We see some Mercy, but it's not Mercy every game. And we saw Florida Mayhem back when they were Misfits in Contender Season 1. I mean, they were just steamrolling through with Tvik on the Genji and Logix on the Tracer. So I think this team, this is the stage where they improve from 11th to maybe like 9th.
I am so buzzed, Johnny, for this team right now. I'm so excited for them. I've been, following them throughout Contenders. I know what they're capable of. I know that they can take some wins, right?
Yeah.
And we're going back to the meta
believe
game.
you.
They are tested in. Me and Johnny, we love them. We love Florida. But listen, this is the meta game for them. This could genuinely be a very close match with New York, having the fact that they can't run Arc. All of this is like kind of lining up and piling up so that it's the perfect storm for Florida to really start taking some games now in stage 2.
Now, a lot of people online, they're saying, oh, this is New York. They're the #1 going up against a lower ranked team here in the Florida Mayhem. But Johnny, backstage, you said, I got some faith in Florida today. You said, Bucket, ask my prediction on the
Well,
desk.
I got some insider information, Bucket. Some crucial insider information. Apparently, Florida Mayhem, they went to IKEA for lunch today. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. They get some taste of Sweden. And then Twick back on the Genji, of course. So I believe in the Florida Mayhem. I believe Florida Mayhem will beat the New York Excelsior.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
It's all about the
I'm a
meatballs.
believer.
I like it. But real talk, when we come to the meta here, why does that play in their favor and maybe against New York in this matchup?
Well, because they're known to be so aggressive, especially with Twick on the Genji and Logic on the Tracer, just diving in with Swoosh on the front line. So now when there's no mercy, you can't really resurrect any team member, and as soon as you get a pick, I mean, it's a 6 versus 5, and you can just steamroll through. You don't have to make second guesses, you don't have to bait out the resurrection, so there's no need to play passive anymore. And knowing Sebosai, his strength wasn't necessarily in playing defensively, playing the positional game. I think he enjoys moving forward with the speed boost a lot more, and so I think this meta favors Florida Mayhem.
Speedy team, and when you got Tavik sped up, he can do some damage. Some of his highlights here coming from the Genji. What do you want to see from the DPS players, Tavik and Logix today?
Bucket, the guy's a beast, right? And to be honest, both the DPSs on Florida, Logix and Tavik, are both beastly players. Back in the day, these guys were known as like this ridiculous duo, and now, as Johnny, as Reinforce yourself, like you mentioned, this is the metagame. Hello, Johnny. As you mentioned, this is the metagame that will suit them. No more Mercy, which means that Logix, he can go absolutely ham in the backlines. All of his hard work is not going to get undone by just pressing E. That's not going to be the case anymore. He's going to be demolishing. All right, I am looking forward to this game.
Logix is back, you're calling.
He's back.
So what are you looking forward to?
Well, you know, the thing is that if the games yesterday, as well as what we saw today, has shown us anything, it's that individual skill right now, up until a new meta has really been established, is the key to winning. And I really think that Mayhem does have that individual skill, and it's gonna hurt the New York Excelsior to not have Arc in there and now have to work around something, even though they only had 1 week to prep. You gotta take that into consideration. They are prepping for new maps, a whole new map pool within a week, and now they're losing one of the key players they have. So I see real chances here for the Mayhem.
One of your best supports, if not the most played support that we saw in all of Stage 1. New York missing their star support player, but I got good news for all the New York fans at home. We talked about the DPS duo that we have on Florida. Well, New York's got a pretty powerful combo. Sabiobi and Pine are both in the lineup for this first game, and they are ready to take it to Florida. Let's see if they can get the job done as we send it backstage to Mr. X and Uber.
Thank you very much, Puckett, and g'day, Blizzard Arena. Time to see now if the Mayhem have had enough time over the break to get themselves steeled for, again, running the gauntlet they did last season, this time in reverse.
Well, you know, the devs talked a lot about NYXL missing Arc, and you know, they missed Jonak during the preseason, and Libero was able to play support for this team, and you know, they didn't like shock the world in the preseason, right? If it was the preseason, you had a lot of rosters being mixed up, but
that feels like so long ago.
It wasn't like they looked bad, right? I mean, they were still able to, you know, weather the storm without Jonak. We know how good of a player Jonak is, so now you bring somebody else, you know, whether it's going to be Janice or Mono playing the support role here, at least in map number 1. Maybe we see Libero come in, play some support later in the series, but I think they'll be able to do it.
First map of the series will be Hanamura. The idyllic landscape, of course, with the cherry blossoms falling. And the Mayhem will be hoping that they will not be joining them at this stage. The New York Excelsior, despite a slip at the end of stage 1 to the Spitfire, definitely looking to be imperious, very powerful, and the team to watch here, especially heading into stage 2 now.
Is it kind of odd how, you know, I feel like the talk after stage 1 has been like about how great London was, right? Like, obviously they deserve it. They played tremendous on that final day, but New York still finishes 9-1.
Yeah.
Still in first place.
London actually drop in placings, I think, even though they win the stage, because obviously the stage finals is the money, but it doesn't really count to your placement overall in the rankings.
And I would agree with Johnny. I think this is a meta that's definitely going to be better for the Florida Mayhem. Sebosai can go back to be, you know, that Lucio player that we see him play a lot of the time. Right now he's playing Zenyatta. Maybe they're going to run Zen Ana on the defensive end here. Don't exactly need the Lucio speed boost and that AoE healing on the defensive end here on Hanamura.
So the Florida Mayhem, this defensive composition, looking like they want to play quite safe, all right? That Tracer 76 combination is generally accepted as probably the least risky DPS combination there. Obviously Swoosh playing the dive tanks. I know Reinhardt to try and hold the door. However, the NYXL might have something else planned. They might want to come in with that heavy tank-based lineup. The switch out here would make more sense. Pine looking to try and do a bit of a Flower. If you think back to the World Cup, this is the map that Flower made his name on that Widow.
And I thought when Mono and Janice were both in the lineup, that Mono would be the one that would play the support role. I know you watch his streams a little bit late at night.
Oh, that was quick!
Well, I mean, what did you expect? I mean, you can't just be out in the open when Pine is coming out on Widow, but I expected Mono to be the one that fills that support role as New York. Just walking through this initial choke, they've already picked up 2 kills. Not looking good for Florida.
Yeah, good point. You bring out Mono actually on the support and not Janice here. But the NYXL can set up on the point pretty comfortably in the Mayhem. Only have one opportunity to come back and try and keep this going. They're going to group up, and now they're going to try and come forward. Savio took a little bit of damage, but he's easily able to get the extra damage across the line on Swoosh. Janice the only player to fall so far on the NYXL, and Savio is looking confident, comfortable, and really under no scrutiny whatsoever. A very easy take here for NYXL, all off the back of that first pick. Logix hasn't got to play Overwatch yet at all.
That is about as fast as you can get. I don't think I've ever really seen 7 minutes and 11 seconds when the point unlocks here. Gonna have a lot of time to make some progress here on the point B. Florida does earn himself a nano boost. To Vic will switch off of 76. Will go over to Genji, try and dive behind the backline here.
Now, they're going to have to leave the safety of this last little temple, the Mayhem, to try and deal with Pine. He requires them to be aggressive, but the Transcendence's already coming in from the high ground. Saviobi's waiting to join the rest of his compatriots now, hoping to at least eliminate Vic or get some damage done. However, Mono falls foul of the Ninja. Saviobi on the point, but realizes most of his team are already backed away, and he will try and do the same, but he's low. Recall's forced, he's back in enemy territory in order to do so. And he's forced to recall out of Logix, but won't get away alive. And the Mayhem can only stand tall now, having built some ultimates into this next fight.
And Pine, as soon as he gets pushed out by the Genji and the dive that comes in from the Florida Mayhem, he'll switch things up to Soldier 76. I think we've seen a lot more Soldier than some people would have expected here at the beginning of Stage 2, but I think a lot of teams still figuring out this meta and kind of going back to some things that worked previously before the Mercy patch.
Again, aggressive DPS setups aren't always the go-to now, with Mercy being unable to get into the enemy backline and resurrect your divers, so something safe and robust. This is also the standard response of teams who are still figuring out the meta. Zoe brought it up on the desk, and individual skills are an important part of this matchup. We're still yet to really see this meta coalesce into something that's defined. Dragonblade, though, that's pretty straightforward. Can't really ignore that, and Jonak just shuts Vic down there as well. Bear in mind, of course, that sound barrier making it very hard for Vic to get any damage done with a Dragonblade. Now the Mayhem have a chance to respond, but Manitou wanted to go up on the high ground. No, he'll get zapped down here. Self-destruct, getting that mech back. Most of NYXL having to clear the point for the explosion. And now they can come back in from that high ground. It's going to be a self-destruct being thrown on in here. No kills from that. Savio always found Swoosh. Zupa has to keep his head down.
Yeah, and Mono jumps down onto the point, trying to heal up Jonas, as there's going to be the Transcendence that comes in from Jonak, trying to keep these members of NYXL alive. It'll be the nano boost onto Manitin, and maybe just obviously the damage effects, but just that the sustainability to stay alive a little bit longer.
Damage mitigation, the name of the game, if you're going to give a Diva that nano boost there. But Pine has pole position right now. Tactical Visor claims him 1 kill. Gets Vic very low. He tries to pick him off from a distance, but Pine, it's a couple taps. And he'll have the job done. Pretty comfortable stuff here for the NYXL, and that's the first tick already. Jonak deals with Everso before he can even get out of the spawn, and that should be it. NYXL lock it down. 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. Fairly straightforward approach from them. And Pine holding it from the backline there, the 76, giving him, some of the damage of Widowmaker, but also a bit of safety there in the sprint and biotic field.
Well, he's playing up top with Jonak. Just Jonak able to just land discords, Pine able to just put some shots in at 76 from a distance. One thing I immediately went to go look at from the stats is, we saw in Stage 1 with so much Mercy and Zen being played, Jonak just get damage boosted, right, a lot of the time. And everyone was like, well, he's putting down these ridiculous damage numbers because he's getting that damage boost most of the time.
Right, it was contingent on Mercy being in the game, right?
So he's still at 20% of overall team hero damage. He was at one point before the end of the game where he's just firing off shots. He finishes with a 35% weapon accuracy. He was hovering for most of the map at around 45 to 48%.
Yeah, he would have started spamming orbs when they had control of the point just to catch the respawns. But what's interesting is that Jonak has about the same amount of damage as Saviobi. They're about 100 damage off, which, as you know, is not very much at all.
Where if you look on the other side where we saw Zebosai play Zen a decent amount of the time, I mean, he's at 12% of overall team damage, and he was shooting a little bit lower in terms of weapon accuracy. So you still see Jonak putting up these very nice numbers on Zenyatta, at least very early here.
At least he showed he had the capacity to continue to stay in step with the rest of the DPS players on his team. Again, he's well and truly ahead of the pack in terms of final blows per 10 minutes, and that's important as a Zenyatta, finishing those kills. Bear in mind that Those orbs are harder to connect. It's not necessarily super spammy on the left click. The right click is an incredibly powerful ability in the game right now. The ability, if you have any sort of prediction of where your opponent's going to be set up, someone like Jonak, for example, you're definitely going to be able to net a lot of kills with charged Orb of Destruction salvos.
I also think it's the stuff you don't see in the stats that he brings to the team. It just is a mental thing for the opposing teams, Tracer and Genji, about going back there and trying to challenge him.
We saw it. Tvik went for the Dragon Blade. Granted, Jonak had a sound barrier, but he shut him down earlier on that second stage. Anderson takes a lot of poke early on, and because of the support set up here for the Mayhem, they don't have burst healing. So it's going to have to be a bit of a wait here for Manatee to come back, and Logix is already deleted by Pine, who's brought the Junkrat out.
Yeah, you'll see Pine on Junkrat. Savior will play 76 here, so 76 play from Pine on the offensive side. And you have Mono going to be playing the Mercy here, so he's going to be providing that damage boost, whether it's the Pine just spamming this choke or to Jonak in that backline.
It's interesting, NYXL playing their patented anti-dive composition with a 76 instead of a Tracer for Saviobi. Some flexibility, a bit of extra healing goes a long way. We've obviously got the Mercy in the mix still. The Florida Mayhem trying to rotate around that right-hand side. You can see the wireframe, so they're setting up here, but they're waiting for that last player to slip in through the front gate. Zupa's actually been completely zoned out right now. He's half HP. He can't get an enjoy to the Mayhem, so the Mayhem are trying to start a fight and allow Zupa to slip in undetected.
Which he does. He does get through that gate because all these players have to turn for NYXL, and it's the Florida Mayhem coming out on top early in this fight. They're able to get a few picks. Tvik dashes right on top, goes through Meko. Maybe they're going to be able to take this first point. There's a lot of players dead here for New York. Florida should be pretty good on point A.
So funny, the primary reason the Florida Mayhem engaged that fight where Tvik is looking right now is so they could get Zupe in, so he wouldn't get burst down as he tried to approach. Well, that's living on the edge there. Tvik goes for the swift strike and deals with Pine's tire. Likely that he had a right click of, shurikens out before that to make sure he had the damage. Don't just charge tires like that. They have found Saviobi, who's supposed to recall early. This could be dangerous. He's going to have to use all these dash charges to get away. Can they catch him? They've got him. Mono going to fall down now as well. It's a 6v4 situation. The Excelsior lacking players at this moment, and Pine also to fall. This might have been a critical error coming out from New York. Transcendence over the point here. Jonak trying to keep what remains of his team up and healthy. But it's only Meko and Jonak on the point, and now the Dragon Blade and compound issues even further. Self-destruct over the top. Tvik looking for further targets. Won't have any more. There's a Winston on the point. Janus is very low, and he will fall. Out of the picture now, Tvik forced into a little bit of a reflect as he gets charged down by Meko. Still a strong presence here for the Florida Mayhem on the point. They've identified a weakness. They identified an opening here on NYXL's defense, and they're looking to make the most of it now. Logix does get the Demon D-shooted and picked off. Meko is no more. Still no tick, and now the May coming out.
Yeah, whenever May comes out on the defensive side, you know it's not going well. It's a self-destruct that comes in from Manatee will get right back in his mech as NY trying to get back, challenge the point. That's going to be the second tick there for the Florida Mayhem. As things are looking great for them, Mitch.
Real close.
Very close to taking point B.
Yeah, Pine needs to drop into the point, so does Mono. They are there. Of course, Biotic all being used. They've got the Moira in the picture now just to get that extra burst healing, but it probably won't be enough at this stage. Mono booped into next Tuesday. Saviobi trying to burst down Manatee. He still has his mech for the time being, but he gets knocked out of it. Zebaside's very close to a sound barrier here. It's one of those fights. I love the cast. It's going to go forever at this rate. Sound barrier in now. Florida looking good. Everyone benefits from it except from Zupe. It's going to be Meko getting D-Mac yet again, and now the Dragon Blade, the second one of this fight. That'll get the job done. And the Mayhem astutely identify a gaping hole in the defenses of the NYXL. A player out of position like Saviobi, they knew they could force his recall, and they knew he'd have to triple dash to get away. That made him a sitting duck.
And you see, that's why we thought this team would excel when they can bring the Lucio back in. Zebosai giving the team that speed boost to go track down Saviobi, get to the point. It's a big kill by Tvik on a Jonak at the end, where he doesn't allow him to get back in his ice block as May, because Pine at that point is going to get his Dragon Blade. He's off to that back left side of the spawn, and then Janus is coming off spawn as well with Primal Rage. So you may have been able to stall that a little bit longer if you were New York. It's a big kill from Tvik.
Perhaps a little presumptuous from Saviobi to be sitting on top of that mega health pack where he was as the Mayhem approached, and it's possible that Saviobi wasn't expecting almost, in fact, all of them to be there. You notice that the Mayhem quickly transitioned off the point there on the left-hand side with their entire team. You don't always expect to see that. Normally, you expect enemy teams to knock on the front gate of that second point or go up on the right-hand side. Nice little mix-up there from the Mayhem to catch the Excelsior unaware.
He talks about how good New York's time is. Florida sets an even better time. A few seconds and I think if they don't have Logics get picked off instantly by Pine when NY was on offense, maybe they're able to hold a little bit better on D. See the Florida Mayhem on defense run that same exact comp they tried before.
Yeah, Zupe on the Ana. Any chance he has to play Ana, he'll go for it. It's his favorite hero, arguably his strongest. It's a rare thing to see Zebasai get to play a little bit of the Zenyatta. No need for Lucio on defense here. You're not too worried about speed boost. You're not playing aggressively for the most part. Pine now, just waiting for that shield to dissipate, getting a high ground little purge, but he's been spotted out. Logic's just going to send him a couple shots from that low ground. And it's Zebasai down to 1 HP. He gets away, but Meko jumped on top of him. Pine paved the way with good damage from the Widowmaker, and Meko knocked it out of the park.
And it looked like New York was going to try and speed boost and go through that choke, but when they saw the players from Florida setting up around that left-hand corner, they kind of knew something was up. As you see Pine just finishing this off with a few headshots. They knew that Zupe was hiding in that right-hand side, was going to try and hit maybe a sleep dart or one of the tanks going through, or connect one of those big biotic grenades, and everyone was going to collapse. They did a great job of putting the Winston bubble down and also using that Diva defense matrix to negate anything he would have gotten out of that. They're able to walk on in, take point A.
Pine as sure as a magnetic guillotine comes down. Logix was caught out on the point there. It's tough for a Tracer to escape. So now the NYXL are going to make their way up yet again. Again, they want to maintain or gain at least some high ground control just on the platform to the left or just right in front of Meko here. That's where Pine likes to set up and get a big tactical visor. In the interim, he'll have to charge it up. So a bit of poke damage here for NYXL is the order of the day.
But New York's going to have a window here with both support ults and Primal Rage where they can get to the point. It's just going to be Nano Boost available for the side of the Florida Mayhem.
Meko now might have to, try and peel back on his backline here. Janus here, Primal Rage. Gonna get him the damage on towards Logix. There's not much he can do. So Ultimates are definitely being pulled out of the NYXL. Now they want to kind of finish things off here, but it's not really working the way I would have liked it to. Jonak is landed on by Swoosh and Pine falls to Maniton now. Janus is trying to chase down, almost finished it to Vic. The Orb of Harmony keeping the Cyber Ninja alive, and that's a chance for Vic to spring back. Scary moments here for the Florida Mayhem. NYXL had the engagement they were looking for. Couldn't convert.
Yeah, Janus dives in onto Logix and they give the nano boost up to Swoosh and he jumps onto the high ground. And they get him quite low and then he's able to just make a move down towards that bottom health pack. Top Primal Rage, come back up top, finish off Jonak. This next fight, he will have Dragon Blade for the Florida Mayhem. See if Tavik can get anything for it. Remember in the first half on the defensive end, he got taken out by Jonak before he got a ton of value from it.
Yeah, Tavik's going to have to deal with a sound barrier again. I think if he wants to really nail this Dragon Blade, it's going to be the second time this has happened to him now. Maybe he's hoping to wait it out. He's searching for anyone that could be heading towards the point. Notice he's constantly looking down. Maybe Sabiobi was worried would sneak onto the point and pull them back, but that hasn't happened. However, Tavik's taking a lot of damage, trying to get back. You can see Maniton desperately trying to keep him alive, but it's a tough job. Oh, that's a nano boost. There could be something here. Dragon Blade, not the option quite yet. We're hearing a tactical visor being pulled. Pine, there's going to be Janus to deal with. Tavik, this could be pretty dangerous now. Meko is responded. It's a 5v4, and Sabiobi's making life really hard for the Mayhem. Zebasai couldn't escape from the pulse bomb, and now Pine can make his way up to the upper level to do some proper fighting.
He'll be just forcing Logix here. Oh, he gets stuck. He doesn't have his recall on cooldown for 2 more seconds. Janus with the Primal Rage on the point, trying to knock players back here. Pine falls to the low ground. That's going to be Tavik's Dragon Blade.
Now, we've been holding on to this for so long, and now it's time to put it to good use. Mano falls. Well, in all honesty, the team had the fight won anyway.
Yeah.
Mano's switching now. No more Lucio. Going over to the Ana, or not. Maybe just switch back. I was interested. If it was an Ana pick here, Mano, make up your mind, bro.
Not exactly sure.
Okay. So the Ana pick here is really interesting because they might want to set up a bit more of a staging ground on that little platform, right? Because you don't want to commit to the fight with all your team. If you can have Pine and Mano sitting back, right? Mano can always throw a biotic grenade on Pine, and they've got a lot of healing between them, plus a lot of long-range potential between Ana's healing and 76's damage.
Well, it's kind of like that Valskaya game that we casted the other day with the Dallas School versus Shanghai Dragons. They got AKM up on the high ground, and when the dive came in, they used that biotic grenade, healed them right back up.
Oh, we need to hit that. It's going to force the Transcendence. If Mano hits the sleep dart, the Transcendence might not be necessary. That's great stuff from Swoosh there. Gets in deep, Matt. Forces the use of that important Zenyatta ultimate.
It's what you want out of your Winston player. The only bad part is a lot of other members are falling here for the Florida Mayhem. They're going to use that nano boost on the Swoosh, just trying to get him into position. He will fall as well. Now Tavik stuck in a rough spot here. He drops as well.
I think that's going to be it. The Mayhem extend deeply. They get aggressive on their defense just to try and bully the Excelsior out of their base. Transcendence now being thrown at the point as the Zoom Miata returns, and Zebasai just trying to maintain some kind of presence. Now he pops out of Transcendence, he goes low. Madison falls again to Janus, who gets the nano boost now. Transitioning this into the Primal Rage is going to make him very, very hard to remove from the point. Ah, yeah, that's tough. Zupe comes in on the Lucio. Janus right in his face immediately now. Self-destruct here by Mano, and that'll get the job done. Back and forth, and in all honesty, York only have about 12 seconds left on the clock, man.
They tried to actually send some players. You know, they had Zebasai, Zupe, and Manitin on the point. They tried to send Tavik and Swoosh all the way up top to try and force, whether it was the supports or Pine out of position. And that's where you actually saw the Biotic grenade come down. So that's where Mono's switch over to Ana paid off. He was able to keep himself and Pine alive. They're able to take out Swoosh, and then Tavik, he's denied all that healing. He's not able to do anything.
They did sleep Swoosh there on the second occasion. Obviously, the first time we saw him use that Primal Rage, come forward aggressively, that forced the Transcendence out of New York. Obviously, the Sleep Dart not connecting initially for Mano. The second time, as soon as he got it off cooldown, he does land it on Swoosh, who was still deep in their territory. Get rid of the Winston, and from there it was pretty easy going. So Florida Mayhem, again, they play a knife edge to this composition, right? They want to dive, they want to use Swoosh to get up there, and in fact on Hanamura you have to. You can't sit on the low ground behind a Reinhardt shield and hope the enemy just comes to you, because you give up too much real estate. You have to be proactive as a defender, but that always carries an element of risk, and on that occasion, it didn't work out for Florida.
Talk about being aggressive. Look at where NY is set up here. So they won't have Jonak playing Zen. He will be playing Sombra. He's going to have the Mega Health Pack, and they have this speed boost from Mono, and they have Pine set up on the other side. So they're going to be able to dive this very quickly. Maybe kind of catch Florida walking in and choke.
Nice mix-up. Will give them some ultimate percentage lead early on if they need it. And they can get straight to the back line here. Swoosh has realized they're there. Zebasai backing away immediately. Janus drops down and just trying to hit whoever he possibly can. Jumps on out. Tvig's harassing him down though now as he's forced inside this health pack room. Swoosh is down though, so not so bad, but Logix has actually got himself on towards the point.
Yeah, he makes it all the way to the point. He's actually putting a lot of pressure onto Jonak.
Free tick, free tick!
And that's going to be a tick. That's exactly what he wanted.
All right, just gonna peace out. Job's done. Most of his team got taken down anyway, so there wasn't ever really going to be any help arriving. But NYXL, they're not leaving. They're staying aggressive here.
No, they farmed this health pack already up to an EMP, so it's going to be very difficult for Florida. I mean, just look at the area that Florida has to walk through. There's not a lot of area for them to spread out and avoid this EMP.
Well, speaking of which, that's the EMP. Jonak lets it go. Quickly translocates back to the high ground and allows the rest of his team to get the job done. Dash forward, Zupe looking worse for wear, and he falls. Moira now out of the picture. Logix, not sure if he's got recall available, but he take the headshot there, so that would have forced a recall regardless. He didn't have it. Sabiel finds him. And the New York Excelsior playing around that health pack as a forward staging ground. They've got 2 hack health packs. They're just bouncing between.
Well, what do you do if you're Florida? If you go out on that right-hand side, you put yourself in even a closer choke to get hit with an EMP. If you split up, it's very long. You're not going to be able to get everybody out to the other side to really, fight the EMP players. It's a very nice strategy coming out from NYXL.
I don't know what Swoosh is looking for, but he's left his back line bereft, trying to dive in over towards the point. I think he's trying to capture this, but Logix is already down. The burst damage was too much for him to deal with. Sabiel, it's a pit stop, a hacked health pack there, just going to charge Jonak up more. He's used his EMP just now. With Manitin having fallen down, it's a bit of a 1v1 here over on the point. Suicidal Simians going head-to-head. Swoosh is actually able to force him off the point, so Janus has to leave. Comes back in with a Primal Rage, though. Hasn't given away that second tick yet. And Swoosh now has to go for his... This is the weird round, Matt. I'm not going to lie.
Swoosh is going to use his Primal Rage to try and stay alive on the point. Here's going to be a sound barrier used from New York with a Dragon Blade at the choke. Not really able to get much. Here's a Coalescence coming in.
That's
the
it.
Florida Mayhem with a Dragon Blade as well.
Logix has got, you've got a decent mana there, man. This could be big. Tvig gets very little with a Dragon Blade. Zupe does get pulsed from during his Coalescence. There's no way he can escape that.
Still trying to build up towards this EMP though. Janus jumps all the way back out to that Mega Health Pack. Trying to get it yet again. You have Janus, Sabiel B, and Jonak still alive here for NYXL.
Second tick pretty close, another EMP though. Madison can do very little, but watching Mouse 1 seems to be enough for the time being though. Gonna get charged down, bursted out. Micro Rockets to de-suit him. The self-destruct kicking in just when they needed it though. Get some zone potential happening. They've got themselves 2 ticks and Logix is looking just to charge up another pulse pop. 2 big tanks, big bodies, that's exactly what he's looking for now. Getting damage, adding it to the stack, but that's the self-destruct to claim Logix. Somehow he was caught there by the fallout, but still, the Mayhem are holding strong. Sabiobi dashes back on towards the point here. There's a pulse bomb in the mix there somewhere. We'd love to charge one up for the next fight because I think this one is pretty much done. Zebasai has a sound barrier, won't be forced to use it. And with 2 minutes and 12 seconds on the clock, the Mayhem take that first point. But they're far from done. Again, going to the left side quickly.
One of the more interesting first points I think we'll have here on Hanamura. Now they start to go towards point B. They get everybody towards the left-hand side. The speed boost comes in. Here's the sound barrier.
It's go time. Zebasai giving his team that sound barrier. They're nice and durable in this fight, but they need to make the most of it now. Zupe trying to just give a bit of love there to Sabiobi in the distance. And now the Coalescence is going to add some damage on top. Bit of healing as well. Manaton needs it badly. He's looking critical right now. Again, plenty of it though for the Mayhem. Sabiobi, you can see him waiting in the wings, waiting for his chance. Because the NYXL are forced into a complete stagger right now, they're going to go one at a time. Meko, Tisu. There'll be a Dragon Blade coming in here. It's not to fix. I'll give you the big tip now. Pine is trying to even the score, but only finds Swoosh in the fight against Poop by Zebasai. Now it's Tuvix time. His chance here to reciprocate with the blade of his own. Sabiobi's looking very low, having the dash back.
Heads up play by Mono though, getting right back into the spawn. They don't really get much from that Dragon Blade. He's able to stay alive, building close to a nano boost. You could give it to Janus here if you need it to stay alive on the point, but it looks like NYXL will hold on here. The Mayhem now have a minute to take point B. They're going to build up towards another Coalescence. Tavik will make a change, go over to Soldier 76. So it looks like they're going to try and control a little bit more of that high ground. The issue is they don't have that Zenyatta to provide that Discord Orb to do a little bit more damage from that range.
Well, the downside of taking Moira here, that Lucio. You need the speed boost. You need to be able to try and set yourselves upon the NYXL if you're Florida as quickly as possible. Find your way to their backline. Oh, that's a pretty nasty grenade there. Mine then drops an anti-nade and just going to heal Meko for the time being. The Transcendence used on this high ground though. Jonak here, it's just an insurance policy for the most part, but NYXL are benefiting from that healing in a huge way. And Mono following up with some big bio grenades.
That bio grenade from Mono, the original one, connects with 4 members of the Florida Mayhem as they're trying to come up through that stairway. They're trying to get Swoosh, and they do. 13 seconds left. You won't see him get back into the action. He gets closer towards the point. Logix is actually underneath the point right now. Logix actually all the way behind enemy line.
I think he's been spotted though. Yeah, Jonak knows he's there, but he's going to get onto the point anyway. Mano's forced to come back. Recall forced early on. They're going to try and keep this overtime going somehow. Manaton gets there. It's going to be the nanoboost used on towards Janus here, looking for the backline, but again the sound barrier making it hard for the Winston to get those easy kills. Primal Rage could be an option, but now he's low on HP. He has to pull it out. It's a very angry Monkey. Vic knows better than to stand and fight him. But Janus returns to the point now. That sound barrier is well and truly expired for the Florida Mayhem, and Zebasai's Life Force has also. Now trying to hunt Zupe down. He used the fade. He's got very little mobility, but he gets himself into the Mega Health Pack room at least. Over on the point in the meantime, Manaton and Tavik are getting the damage done. Transcendence now used, but it's only for about 3 players. Note Mano in the top right corner. He's not being touched right now. He can give a lot of healing across with the Coalescence now being thrown in the mix. Janus is trying to double back, but he's been taken down. Logix finds himself too. One more tick and that'll be job done. It's going to be a close one, Matt. Meko on the point. It's just him. Mano's just taking a breather on his own. He's been zoned out by Logix for the most part of that fight. D-suit here for Meko. Self-destruct. Mayhem trying to close down the point. They've got it! 4 apiece! And the time banks are very close, Matt.
And if Logix doesn't hide and get in that position, get a touch, that doesn't start to happen for the Florida Mayhem. You know, a player who we've talked a lot about, whether his performance has been great or suspect, in stage 1, coming in stage 2, makes a big play there, just extends that game for Florida, probably catches New York off guard a little bit, right? They have to then turn their back to the Florida Mayhem, who are coming off the spawn, able to push on through. Just sends this one into overtime yet again. It'll be the Florida Mayhem on offense, only a minute for them to attack.
It's really impressive, like you said, Matt, that the Mayhem can turn a situation when they have 7 seconds left in the round, they face losing the map, and Logix goes in. Secret agent duty, sneaks onto the point. Even though Jonak recognized him, Jonak missed the right-click salvo and wasn't able to finish him. That would have been the map there if he'd connected. Uncharacteristically, he didn't find his mark, and this is what we now have to deal with. NYXL, having slightly more in the time bank, will defend first. So Florida now need to be wary. Are the NYXL going to play this really forward defense setup? It's looking like by the setup at this stage that New York aren't. They're going to mix it up now.
Yeah, they're going to bring Mono in on Lucio here on the defense. So provide AoE, speed, and healing. Jonak will play his Zenyatta. And, you know, they'll have SaveLB play Tracer. So this is a little bit more of what we would have expected from NYXL.
Florida now warily checking their corners. You can see the quick right turn from Manhattan just to make sure no one was hiding on the stairs. Coast is clear for the time being, and now it's time for further reconnaissance. They've spotted Jarvis there on the side of the Winston. Logix wants to try and pull him away, or at least threaten the NYXL from just being embedded over in that back left corner.
I think right now the Mayhem are just trying to create some space at the gate. They'll send Logix all the way in to get a touch on the point. Now they're going to try and dive on in. Perfect. They get Pine early.
Logix transitioned from tickling the point to helping out with the dive. He got the extra damage on Pine to take him down. Swoosh eventually will fall as a result of his dive in, but Logix is a presence on the point at least. They're going to have themselves a tick here. That's a good start for the Mayhem. At least something to be going on with now as Johnson comes down to half HP. Logic's backseat for the most part. The Winston is missing now for the NYXL, and a D-Shooter Demon are missing the tanks right now. This could be a huge opening with only a minute left. The Florida Mayhem, their first attack being the most important, the only chance they'll have. This pulse bomb for Logix needs to be big. It has to be huge, but he went down before he can use it. That's really gonna hurt. I don't think it's gonna be enough from Tvik. He's found himself 2 kills. There's a lot of healing on this point though, man. You can see the Pine's there, he stands tall, and the Mayhem might just have to go home with 1 tick, and that'll be it.
How many times do we see SaveLB? Looks like NYXL's out. Just stay alive. He's able to desuit Manhattan, then take him out. Takes out 2 more players in that process. During World Cup, this was the map against Team USA, right? Where he went like absolutely crazy on point A to just kind of keep that South Korean team in it. He kind of rekindles some of that magic here against the Florida Mayhem. They're just preventing them from taking point A. Now it'll be NYXL's turn to attack. So I'm more interested, you know, in NYXL's attack. I think we'll pretty much see them just kind of play a dive, right? When you have that new support player in the mix who's really your main tank, it kind of takes away a little bit of the creativity you can do on the offensive end. So I'm more interested in what the Florida Mayhem pull out on defense. Right now, it looks like a very interesting comp.
We'll jump in the game in just a second, but I think the gravity of this task for the Mayhem is definitely apparent to them. They want to try and go for the map draw here. That's the best they can get. 1 slip, 1 foul step, and it'll be NYXL to take this first map away. Though I've got to say, these 2 teams have been playing each other very closely. They actually played each other very closely on Horizon Lunar Colony in their last match, obviously in that last week of Stage 1. Mayhem, this is a good way to help them continue that upward trajectory in performance and in ability, going up against quality teams like the NYXL, and they've given them some trouble. They've made it hard for the map. But let's see what NYXL come out on the attack.
Looks like they're going to have Pine and SaveLB on that Genji Tracer combination. The mono play Lucio is going to be a standard dive that comes out from NYXL. Florida Mayhem on defense. They'll play Orisa Roadhog, so we saw that a lot with the Junkrat combination in Stage 1. They're going to have Zebosai play Moira and Zube play Ana. So see them playing a little bit further back on that point. They want to get a lot of value out of those 2 supports in that close quarter area.
Oh, SaveLB has to recall. There was no mega health pack there for him to get. That's kind of annoying now, because for the next 8 seconds, that's not going to be an option. We'll need to lay low for the time being. There's a lot of healing available for the Mayhem here. Big, beefy bodies, the big tanks here, and they're taking down Janus first. Pine also to fall. This is huge. The Mayhem looking to hold strong for now. Sabi will be backing away. That music should be telling you that it's dire straits for the NYXL. If they want to get this map win, they have to take the point. Just more than 1 tick map.
And you see Zebosai getting very close to a coalescence at 85% now. He'll have it in the next fight. All the healing that Manhattan can do as Roadhog, the Biotic Grenade, is going to be very difficult to dive this comp that the Mayhem are running.
Looks like they're going to drop themselves in now. Transcendence is there for Jonak. That's a good opening here. The Mayhem, they have the coalescence, but it's not quite as potent in terms of the healing. Zebosai's down. Both supports are missing. Meko gets D-Suited and SaveLB goes for the post bomb. It was up on the shield, but it catches Swoosh regardless. Manhattan now into Tvik. The last 2 left for the Florida Mayhem, and it's probably not going to be enough at this stage. Manhattan wants to take a breather, but he won't have the opportunity. Tvik gets burst down immediately. That's the Primal Rage. Celebratory Roar coming out here. And the Mayhem will drop this one to the NYXL. Took 2 tries on that last phase, Matt. But a clean, simple dive was the order for the NYXL.
And NYXL leads into that fight with their Transcendence. You're like, okay, maybe you see a big Biotic Grenade come out from Zippe on the Florida Mayhem. He only connects with 1 member. Meko gets the effects of the anti-heal that comes on through, but everybody else for NYXL able to stay alive through that. then just push on through to take point A.
Well, if Florida wanted to, I guess, take their temperature or see what the skill gap was between them and this roster, they probably realized that there's not much there. It's the little things, Matt. It's the 1%ers. And it cost Florida so far on this particular map. They've still got 3 more left in this series, though. More chances to go up against the powerhouse that is New York. We'll see the next one just after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Focus up, guys. Focus up.
We have the best players. We have the best fans.
Going into game. Going to 3. On 3.
We wanted to make sure that all the best players in the world were in the league, regardless of where they're from. You're really starting to see everybody really wants to up their game.
3, 2, 1, and live. Welcome to the party.
Oh my goodness! No! So many stars on this lineup. And this is where we see the high quality Overwatch, everybody.
Enough of the fun and games. It's time to get the job done. Yes, thank you, pass, Fitch. That's correct. It's time to get the job done for the New York Excelsior. They're looking to continue to extend their dominance here in the Overwatch League. But for the Mayhem, there's always a lot on the line in these kind of games. Not only are they testing their mettle against these top rosters, they want to prove to themselves and the fans that they belong here. We know they do. But seeing performances like that previously does definitely give you a good feeling about the rest of their season. And Libero comes in for Pine.
Yeah, a few changes here for NYXL. Yeah, Libero who will come in for Pine. I believe he had just Mano and Janice, maybe just switching spots where they were sitting here. But we're gonna head into Lijiang Tower for map number 2. I think the most frustrating thing if you're a Florida Mayhem fan is they are never really like getting blown out in a lot of these series with top teams. They're always close. They're always like competitive, like one or two like little things. Like I always felt as like a player, right? Like I hated losing close games. It's like I wouldn't mind getting blown out just because you knew you weren't close, right? It's the close ones that really hurt, and they've had so many throughout their season thus far.
Because that's when you orbit around every decision you made, especially in the last moments. Like, how could we have, gotten over the line? How could we have just done that a little bit better? But you could say the same of the Outlaws as well. I'm sure that, towards the end of Stage 1 during those playoff games, that they would have had that same feeling. They came quite close. And now to come back and to beat the Spitfire today, definitely a sense of vindication there. The Mayhem would love to walk those same footsteps. They weren't able to secure a draw on that first map, which will be frustrating. Still 3 more left in the series. And heading over to Control, in my opinion, is a map that I've enjoyed watching them on. I actually have sat in the room with the Mayhem guys inside their practice room and watched them go through a couple of scrims here. That communication, it's so funny, I used to tease Tvek all the time. I tried to interview him and I'd say, like, what went wrong for you guys here? But even back when he was playing for that Misfits team before the Overwatch League, and he always said communication. I eventually got fed up with him and just told him, like, you're definitely just lying to me now because you say this every time. But it's been a huge work in progress for these guys. Saying what they really mean and keeping it short, sharp, and shiny has been a challenge for the Florida Mayhem. But I'm happy to say, in my experience, it's improving here. Has it improved enough? We'll see, because we've got some Zarya Reinhardt time now. So we head straight into Command Center.
So Mono will be playing support again. You'll see a triple tank lineup that comes out from NYXL, with Xavier will be playing Zarya. We see Zarya a lot on this point. Libero actually catches Zebosai there at the beginning, which is huge. You can't lose your Moira in this type of comp because she provides so much healing for your Ryan and Zarya.
Moira is excellent on this map because D.Va is not a fixture. You can actually get huge value out of your biotic orbs, whether aggressive or defensive, the healing or the damage, without the defense matrix in the mix.
Well, Jonak is going to get much more value out of Moira. You see him putting a kill up there on a Logix with one of those orbs because Florida Mayhem's not running the D.Va. So you just look in terms of, obviously, Zebosai drops early in that previous fight, but just the orb damage and healing, what it can provide in terms of ultimate charge, just vastly different. You see Zebosai switches off of Moira right away. He'll go over to Lucio, not getting a ton of value out of those orbs, not building up towards ult.
This map can become very oppressive to play if you don't control the point. Trying to squeeze in through these small corridors against a Reinhardt and a Zarya, it can be nigh on impossible for some teams. Zarya's going to get all the free charge from your poke damage. Reinhardt is going to block the path and prevent you from getting poke of your own if you're trying to land these shots. And then the Junkrat sitting behind them just throws in grenade after grenade without worrying about taking damage himself because he's sitting behind his Reinhardt's protective barrier. This is what the Mayhem are struggling with right now. They need a Riptire to break the NYXL open to make some progress. Remember, there's no mercy here.
There hasn't even really been a first fight.
No.
In this.
They lost one player.
In this map. They lost one player
in that first
every time.
So here it is. This is what I was looking for. Riptire and Graviton Surge. Doesn't connect. Oh, the shield placement was so good. Janice just puts it up in the air. The sound barrier definitely helping as well. But now the Mayhem are going to use a Transcendence, by the way, which does nothing to stop a Riptire. Zebosai just found that out the hard way.
And then they use their Earth Shatter. Swoosh knocks down 3. They use the Coalescence to just heal it right back up.
That is not ideal for the Mayhem.
Not ideal.
They had the options there. Only once, if you're behind this final round, only once are you going to have a fight where you have the ultimates to allow you to regain control. They blew that one. Now they're in trouble. 6% and the round's over already.
And they have to run in, and they're going to run right into this Earth Shatter from Janice. They may not even get back to the point.
Janice hoping for a bit of Earth Shatter action. We'll see. No, shield was up. He managed to catch a couple sound barrier for Zebosai. Keeping the rest of his team fairly durable, and that's the Riptire that we're looking for. The Hail Mary, so to speak. Meko and Libero fall. Mano on the point with Slither of health, and that's all he really has to work with. Janice is swinging at something in the distance. Maybe he's swatting flies. He's going to try and back away, and he should be safe enough. I don't think the Mayhem will pursue him this deep.
He'll get all the way out. Logix gets to the point, then the double rip tire kill that comes in from Tvik was huge there. So Janus did connect with 2 with the Earth Shatter, just wasn't able to get any follow-up on it. So we'll see the Mayhem playing a little bit further up. Manatin building quite quickly up towards the Graviton Surge here.
Yeah. The Excelsior want the Mayhem to engage in this long corridor so they can get something out of the Coalescence, and that may have been the case. Logic's trying to wrap around the backside, but eats a straight grenade and is down to 5 HP. He'll need to run away, get the Mega Health Pack in the middle, then return to the fray. Riptire.
Get one. The Riptire comes through. You're going to get Manatin as well. Graviton Surge comes out too, and
not a great look.
Get anything, yeah.
Sabioba doesn't really connect with that one. Fortunately, it may not matter. Tvik, the Riptire coming soon, needs to be big, but he needs to get away from the scrutiny that he's facing from these enemy tanks, and he's not going to have a chance. Sabioba gunned him down where he stood. His Zebasai drop as well. Overtime should be done before anyone gets remotely close. At least the Mayhem made a round of it, because they were in dire straits very early on.
They never, like, look, they get 45%, but they never gave themselves a good opportunity to win that round. You know, they just had getting, you know, picked off one by one. As they walked in, they just had to wait and wait and wait. When they actually got everybody up and a team fight going, they won it. They were able to flip the point back, right? So I think it's just unfortunate how it went there for the Florida Mayhem, just constantly getting picked off at the beginning of those fights.
When you play in mirror compositions that involve Reinhardt, Xayah, and Junkrat on that stage, you kind of just have to wait. If you lose the first fight, you're at a distinct disadvantage. You'll likely lose the second and maybe even third because of that deficit in ultimate percentage that prevents you from getting Shatters, Riptires, and Graviton Surges first. They managed to come back in, of course, but eventually it just swung back in NYXL's favor. So now the Pharah enters the fray, and Tvik is the only one on the Mayhem that can really try and manage Libero's impact.
And there's Sparrow with no mercy, so you're going to see Jonak probably provide the Harmony Orb to Libero up in the sky quite frequently. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on Mono to kind of stay around the remaining members of NYXL, provide a ton of healing from Lucio. But you see Libero, the position that he's taking all the way in the back here. No, Tvik doesn't really have a great sightline on him.
Nope, Libero is making sure he stays out of sight, and that was a stray rocket that claims Tvik. This could be big. Zebasai, huge performance out in the back with a boot kill on Mono and Jonak removed. Single-handedly taking care of both of the healing sources on the NYXL, but Libero's far from done. With Meko getting V next though, Libero's life gets that much harder. He's much more susceptible to damage, but the Mayhem is so scattered, they can't coordinate their fire whatsoever. And Libero, with a sliver of health, will eventually fall. Logix chases him, he'll pick up the small health pack, and the Mayhem start in control, essentially.
Yeah, the dive that comes in from Florida, Zebosai is actually able to take out both supports. Let's take a look at it from his POV. Oh, right over the side, as you see.
Yeah, that's why it looked like, it was actually a single boot because he killed Jonak on the way down, which is why I was confused looking at the kill feed, but that makes sense. He's just making sure, you know?
So the Mayhem now in control of the point. Build up a pulse bomb here, you're gonna have attack visor. Libero switches off a bar right away, so doesn't want to keep trying to challenge Tvik without a mercy on his side. He'll go over to Genji. You're going to get very aggressive with a dive from NY.
Logix is creeping. Pulse bomb in hand. Best target right now, probably a tank if I'm honest with you before the engagement starts. Pulse bomb dropped in the corner. Jonak backs away from it, but there's follow-up there. Somehow Jonak's still alive. Of course, the Transcendence. He pops it frantically to prevent himself from being taken down by Swoosh. But Swoosh lives up to his namesake in the manner that he felt. Wasn't much that he could have done with the Transcendence in play. His Tesla cannon was woefully ineffective.
It's interesting that they're able to dive Jonak and not get him down at all. He uses the stays alive long enough to use that Transcendence, pops it right away. Kind of gets escorted by Mono with the speed boost over to the point towards the rest of the team. Now you'll have a sound barrier for NYXL. You have both support ults here for Florida. Plus, so they use their Transcendence and Zebosai falls right away, so you're not able to use that sound barrier to follow it up.
That's really rough. You probably wanted to try and cycle through both of those ultimates to get control of the point, but they've been denied the opportunity. Zuppe lurking in the backside. If it wasn't going to be Janus, it would have been Sabiobi, or vice versa. Good coordination between the Winston and the Tracer players on the NYXL to ensure that that would have been a clean kill on Zuppe regardless. He was out of position, an easy target.
You probably wanted that Transcendence to get through that initial choke, and then as you started to work towards that point, use the sound barrier with that speed boost. Maybe even use your attack visor, right, to get right up in their face, get into the backline, pick up a kill or two.
Again, no Diva, which is on the side of the... Well, that's wrong. There is a Diva.
There's Divas everywhere.
All right, yeah, saw myself out. Libero with a Dragon Blade at the very least to work in with. I'll leave that point for next time. An opportunity to make this one happen. Sound barrier was used by the NYXL here. Libero wants to get into the back line. Oh, it's a Harmony Orb as well. And Tvik that's going to make it even easier to slice up. Zupe, well played. Big step back. Relieves now, of course, the orbs of destruction to his foe. And Libero was the one to fall down now. Pulse Bomb really landing by Sabiobi. He produces it with a flourish, but it hardly connects. That will be it. No Diva. Good one, Mitch. Mano to fall though, and now at least the Mayhem have some control.
Mono will fall at the end there, so they'll have to wait a little bit. Buys them some time to get Logix back in the fight for Florida. But Florida did use a ton of ults. They'll have their Transcendence for the next fight. No support ults for NYXL. So NY, they really just want to maybe get on the Zupe, get him out of the fight early, or force that Transcendence out. But at that point, Florida's going to be up to, almost close to 90% on the point. Going to have one more fight after that for New York. This is
Florida trying to stay in this map. Again, they don't want to go 0-2 down at this stage. Zebasai looking for a boot, but the Excelsior back away very quickly, realizing that when they see Lucio running at them, breakneck speed, there's a good chance he's trying to get himself some environmental kills and get on that highlight reel.
Well, they also lost Janus, so they're not able to exactly just dive into that backline without your Winston. So as soon as he falls, it's going to be one more fight here. It's going to be Florida using their Transcendence, open it up, picking up 2 kills.
Such good timing. They knew this was the opening they were looking for. They knew this would get them to 99%. But in their aggression, off the point, NYXL actually sneaks back in and retakes it. Now they'll stall it. NYXL have positioning. This leaves Zupe out on his own. The rest of the Florida Mayhem went to try and capture the point back, leaving their Zenyatta high and dry. However, they retake control. Meko's going to get blown out of his mech there, but self-destruct will allow him to get it back in just a moment. Good peel back from the Florida Mayhem, though. Look at the disengage. Tvik gets away from the explosion. All the defensive ultimates being used here by the NYXL, but Tvik keeps himself scarce. We'll probably head back for the health pack and try and return with a tactical visor. Maybe it might not be needed though. Libero low. Mano looking worse for wear off from that left-hand side, and Logix picks him up. This is big for the Mayhem. A chance here to make this one apiece now, and they've done it. That's a huge turnaround. Really well played. That final engagement. They just get a glimpse, Matt, of a New York player, and they throw everything they have at him to give him the man advantage.
And we were on with Tvik for a little bit. Then we went free cam when Libero was using that Dragon Blade. It was a really good reposition from Tvik, though, to go to that initial main choke point there towards that front side of the point, and then use the tac visor from that angle. Didn't give an opportunity where Libero could have just dashed right through him, got behind him in a weird angle, made it very difficult to locate him playing that 76.
Libero's Dragon Blade was looking pretty frightening at that point of the game, but he got knocked around a little bit by Manatee, I think, at the start of that, so it made it hard for him to actually close with his intended target. Clever stuff from Manatee. We expect no less. So, straight off the bat, the Moira comes here for Zupe. Zebasai on the Mercy to match with the Pharah here.
It's a little bit different than when NY ran the Pharah. They did not have Mercy in play, and see Tvik able to take out Janus at the beginning, so you lose your main tank yet again. It's kind of how things fell apart in that final push, the last point for New York, right? They lost Janus early. They're not really able to get a great push there to try and force out the Transcendence. They lose Janus at the beginning. May not hurt him as bad, though, because Sabiobi takes out Zupe playing that Moira.
Really nice from Sabiobi. Got his way into the back line, undetected. And have enough to finish off Tvik in just a moment here. There's not much chance of him staying alive any longer. Tvik was hoping to bait some aggression from New York towards him, so that the rest of Florida, who was still sat on the bridge, by the way, could actually have played forward. But Sabiobi completely ruined that plan. Great flank. Immediately removes a Zenyatta from the mix. Or the Moira, should I say.
And he knows where Logix is playing here, just trying to poke him a little bit, force him back. Does not want to let Logix trying to build up some percentage on the point. It's going to be a pulse bomb, sticks it on to Manatee, gets him very low. He's going to get the D-Mech as well. It's a big pick. You've lost your Diva now. Manatee has to jump off the side. It's going to force Florida to back out.
25% to 0. Florida, again, they get themselves 95% of the way in that previous map, if you recall. And then they fell apart. Can't allow that to happen here. They start well, they finish less well, so to speak.
It'll be Florida leading with a Coalescence. You're just going to kind of barrel in behind that ultimate. They're going to use Valkyrie at the same time as well. So using two support ults, it'll be the Rocket Barrage. It'll be the Meko taking out Tvik there. Rez that comes through on a Zupe, so you get both supports back up here for Florida.
That was so smart from Jonak. He sees the barrage. He just gets a glimpse of Tvik in the window and he goes straight for the Transcendence, knowing that it would have been either Tvik or him at that stage. Great response. Primal Rage to be used in this fight by Janus. Zupe not quite knocked away. Bionic Orb thrown in, but Meko eats it up straight away, so they're missing a lot of healing for the team on the point now. Zupe able to get very little done on that Moira because the D.Va's just mitigating the healing potential. Swoosh though, cat amongst the pigeons, looking to try and deal with the backline, but no, he misjudges the jump. Falls away, Manhattan to get D-Mec'd here, self-destruct, but it won't give him a chance to get back in. A lot of ultimates here, perhaps not being used to great value from Florida.
And attack Bison just to top it all off there from New York. It'll be 88% and counting for New York XL. You build up towards another coalescence, so you see how fast you can build up towards that Moira ult. Zebo side switches over to Lucio. They're going to try and speed boost with that coalescence in one more time.
Now or never. It's time to get this one done for the Mayhem. They found money worthy. Oh, it's all happening so fast. Ah! It's all over the screen, but Sabi will be connected with a pulse bomb towards Manhattan. He needs to take his time, but in the process, the point was taken by the Mayhem. There was a lot of stuff going on there, Matt.
Yeah, when coalescence comes in with the speed boost and you're inside a close area.
Try casting that.
I don't. I just give it over to you, and I let you do whatever you're gonna do.
No, I wouldn't have pulled that one casting.
Yeah, it's okay. So you do most of the time. Just yell. Libero now up in the sky as far and knows there's no 76 on the opposing side, so he should be able to just kind of rain down a ton of damage uncontested.
Tvik just taking a breather. He wants healing from someone. Zulpe actually managed to get Meko D-Mech, but Tvik. Oh! Are you kidding me? Get out! That's disgusting! Straight at Libero from long range. Okay, Manhattan now out to the backside of the Transcendent invite. Jonak here, self-destruct, just to zone away NYXL, but they'll be back with a vengeance, you can be sure of that. Swoosh getting fairly close to his primer range, would love to have that one to stall things out further. Every second counts for the Mayhem. They need to maintain control. Primer range surely getting pulled in a moment now, the self-destruct coming out from Meko. He does manage to get back in his suit, that's huge for New York. Now that primer range we were talking about. Meko and Mano, both very low on HP. Mano got knocked away from the point, and Swoosh, try following this one, by the way, as Swoosh is going nuts, trying to open up some space, and he's done so well. Logix uses the distraction of Swoosh on the point to find himself a D-Mech, a kill, and Janus to go down. That's two. Big fight for Florida.
Yeah, New York may have used that sound barrier there. If Janus could have stayed up a little bit, because you had Jonak coming over the bridge. You would have had all 6 members set up there. You would have had the sound barrier and a rocket barrage there to use. Now it's going to come down to maybe one more fight here. Florida used everything there, Mitch. They're going to have coalescence yet again. They've been building up it so fast. This could be a devastating rocket barrage, though, over the top.
Yeah, Florida, I don't think they know what's about to happen. It's going to drop down on them. Oh, that's gross. It's 2 for Libero to pick up Zulpe and Tvik. But Mana goes down by Logix. He has control of the point. Libero almost gets one clipped. He actually gets out with the rocket pack before he gets dropped down. But it's Florida in control. It's overtime. The buck now stops with New York Excelsior to get onto this point and to turn things around, but Libero's already used the barrage. Got 2 kills. Somehow that wasn't enough, though. Logix hits away with Pulse Bomb, doesn't connect with its target, and now he's low on HP. Forces out recall. He needs to find a target quickly, and he does. The coalescence is well timed from Zulpe, providing them the healing they need. Some damage over the top, and Tvik goes in with a tactical visor now. It's going to be at least the defense matrix for now. Meko somehow still alive. He got the Transcendence. No, he's knocked out of the mech. Zulpe makes sure of that. Overtime still. Tvik sitting in the background. Bionic Orb. You better believe it. Oh, the Mayhem fought for that one real hard, and they even the series at 1 apiece.
Mayhem turn up there towards the end of the Lijiang Tower. He flipped the point back in their favor. I thought you saw all of the members of the Mayhem really play well. You see the potential they have. When they start to click, they can really put together some good performances. And I thought Zulpe playing Moira there at the end, he got a lot of great use of those coalescences.
I'm stunned. A series of incredible events that transpired on that particular round just had me reeling one after another. Rough start for the Florida Mayhem, but they recover stellar fashion to make it 1 apiece in this series. This is what they've been hoping for last stage. Perhaps they'll have it now. Oh, we'll see you for more after the halftime break.
Lose your point, lose your point. I'm on the point, I'm gonna D.Va with you. D.Va, back point. Lose your point. Come here and try to fight then. We get it. I'm dead. Then you won. You're going alone. Dead. I need heals. Stay point. Lucy, right hand corner. Okay. I'm up him. Nice.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
We are all tied up between Florida and New York. Florida just taking a big game number 2, and they did it in the final moments of round 3. And here to talk about all the action so far, we got Bren, we got Reinforced back in action, and we got to start here. Arc is out of the action here for New York. Mono, who we saw tanking in that championship match for Stage 1, playing Lucio today. First of all, for anyone who hasn't been following the pro scene as long as you guys have, how often have we seen this type of a role swap where you're a tank player, now you're healing, or vice versa?
Pretty much never, Brent, right?
You don't see it.
No,
It doesn't really happen unless it's in these rare circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen players like Nevix. You know, Nevix can play pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Sebosai has also swapped repeatedly from the off tank. He was on McCree back in the days, and now he's stuck on Lucio. So we do see major changes sometime, but I mean, you don't swap from game to game.
You predicted Pine might be running on the support role.
Well, he did it
in
preseason. So.
He did, yes, which is a valid prediction. That's why it kind of took us off guard a little bit. I asked my historical contact, Joshua Wilkinson, the aging Overwatch historian in the back.
Yes.
You know, he's got his cast on. I made him do the research, and I said, has Mano ever played support before? And he said, not to his knowledge.
Not that I know.
Not that I know.
And if he doesn't know,
yeah, nobody knows. That man has just got like an encyclopedic knowledge of everything in Overwatch. It's quite scary and weird.
So let's talk a little bit about the composition swaps that we saw from New York because their support player is out. What changes did they show in games 1 and 2?
So you kind of have to adapt, right? So Mano's obviously going to be playing this Lucio role, which I'm assuming he's not going to be very well versed on. I don't know. He could be playing Lucio a lot in his spare time. I'm not too sure. But they still had Janice in as their main tank, so things aren't going to be shaken up too much. But then again, we don't know what to expect from New York because this is an entirely new metagame. I mean, yeah, I guess you can look at, you know, before Overwatch League, but who wants to do that? Overwatch League is the best anyway. So,
right.
like, who wants to do that? Who wants to look at the previous tournaments? Like, so we got nothing to base this new New York roster off. We got nothing at all. So this is kind of like, who knows, you know?
Well,
who knows what's going to happen?
You went ahead and chose Florida before the match even began, Reinforced. He said they have a chance in this game. Well, when they could barely fight out of their base on Hanamura and the Sombra was in their face, I was worried for them. But two guys have been stepping up big first half, and we got to talk about what Logix and Tvik have accomplished.
Well, as we talked about in the pre-show, of course, I mean, they're so well-versed in an aggressive meta when we don't really have the mercy to resurrect the people all around you. So when these guys can just play all-out aggro and Zeus can just jump in with no real punishing abilities in their way, I mean, these guys are just wreaking havoc. And I mean, we saw Logix. Before, he's played sort of scared, I guess you could say, in lack of a better word. But this time, he just...
That was ridiculous. Like, seriously, like we were saying, you're completely right. Logix was playing scared, and now we get to see Logix unleashed. Like, I said it in the pre-show. I was like, I want to see Logix just let loose, because this is his playground. This meta game, you know, the Mercy's not in the match. It's not going to be undoing these mistakes. He can just go absolutely ham, and ham he went.
Yeah, so you don't have to think twice about what you're doing and who you're trying to kill. And so he can just go forward, unleashed. Logix, oh my god, this
was ridiculous.
Yep.
It's just, you do not...
That's play of the week so far. Real quick, explain why is that shot with the Genji so impressive for anyone who doesn't understand the mechanics of the reflect?
Yeah, so Genji's reflect, right? Anything shot at you is shot back, generally speaking, but you actually do have to aim it at the same time. So air shots are rare enough when you're playing Pharah normally, and you've got 6 of them in your clip, and you're firing out rockets. You got 6 to, you know, to eventually hit an air shot. But Tvik just does it on Genji, right? He's just like reflecting these rockets upwards, so rare. But it just shows his proficiency on multiple different heroes. You know, the guy is a great Pharah even when he is playing that role. So it just stretches across.
And even then, I mean, they didn't have any anti-air heroes, so Tvik just shutting down the Pharah on a Genji, that was pretty game-winning in itself, I gotta say. So that just made it even better.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the series so far. Game 1 goes to New York. Pretty close attacks at the end. New York showing a little bit stronger defense. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw at the end of Game 2, though, because this could very much be a 2-0 series in favor of New York. Instead, it was Florida who mounted the comeback, and you're going to break it down for us, Johnny. What did we see in the final moments of this game?
Yeah, so I'm providing the insights powered by Intel and how Florida actually won this fight. So we're going to head in here, and I think the key pick is Suppe, of course, on this Moira. We're going to see in the top right corner, he has the Transcendence of, or not the Transcendence.
Coalescence.
I got
excuse
me.
He doesn't play support.
Complicated words for an old Swedish man, 22 years old. And so the key pick here really is that you can position your Sombra around this spot right here in the back towards the inside room, and then you have all these visuals throughout the point where you can we have good sight lines on your team, and knowing Moira, she's not very exposed, so she can stand in the back here and basically just heal her team throughout. And New York Excelsior, they can't really pressure this Moira, and the overall healing output is just so big, so they can't really kill Maritan and Swoosh. As we play this one out, of course, this is the very last fight. And I mean, this Moira pick, to me, is just the crucial one that actually won them this round. Because you don't really see Moira ever on this round or this stage at all on Garden. So it was a bit of a unique pick. I wasn't as confident when I saw it, but it obviously worked out great for them. So very impressive stuff coming out of Florida.
And it looks like a bunch of yellow circles and white circles playing bumper cars, but
pretty much.
I also just noticed how, like, Zebasai, you saw that entire time, the Lucio was just dancing around, trying to keep those tanks up, buying time for the Moira. It seems that Florida is a little bit more comfortable in this Lucio meta once again. How often should we see Zebasai off of that Lucio?
Well, we should see him pretty much all the time now. That's my insights.
Always on Lucio?
Yes. No more Mercy. I think we've seen enough.
I think we've all seen enough. I know Zebasai is very excited not to be playing Mercy. Now, we talked a lot about Florida during this halftime show. We should also hit New York, and there's one player to keep your eye on in the second half. Sabiolbi was once crowned the best tracer in the Overwatch League by Johnny Reinforced Larson. Is he still the best tracer in the game, Johnny?
Oh, I mean, Logix went pretty ham this game, okay? But I do not want to sell him short after one single game. Perhaps he's playing a bit overconfident.
Okay.
Because he's my man, you know. I totally believe in this guy as the best tracer in the world, and I'm not going to let it go that easily, Brent.
Do you remember a while ago you said you were arguing with me that Sabiolbi is the best tracer in the league, and I was arguing against it?
Yeah.
Well, here I'm going to do the opposite.
You were wrong.
I was wrong, yes. I will admit to that. I will admit to that. As
you were wrong. First time.
First time ever, apparently. No, but I mean, we got stats here from the first match. The guy ended up with 24 kills, 9 deaths, which is a very strong performance on Tracer. That was map number 1. That was Hanamura. So, I mean, he was completely outperforming. 9 of those kills were on the support backlines of Florida. So, I mean, Sabiolbi has been sort of this focal point player for the reason why New York are playing so well here, despite the fact that they're subbing in these players. It's a little bit unusual.
Johnny, I always give Bren this opportunity to flip-flop at halftime. You picked Florida to win this series at the start. Bren off camera said New York. Do you want to join Team New York, or are you staying with Florida here in the second half?
It's a hard question, you know. I believe they have some they saved up some meatballs in the dugout, of course. So I think the Florida Mayhem, they got this.
Swedish meatballs during halftime. We'll see if it pays off. That's going to do it for our halftime coverage. When we come back, it's more Zarya and Reinhardt. Kings Row will be game number 3. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
match between the NYXL and the Florida Mayhem. And guys, this match has been crazy. We got all kinds of stuff happening. We got Genji's deflecting, rockets back up and firing, all kinds of crazy stuff, y'all. But I do want to take a second to personally send a shout out to the Florida Mayhem for that awesome act of solidarity that they showed coming to the stage. Just always good to see that. It really warmed my heart. And it's obvious these guys are playing with a lot on their minds, so the fact they're doing so well is crazy. But guys, we still have a whole nother half. You better believe both of these teams are going to be trying to win out completely because every map matters. Every map. So, to get back into the action, let's send it on over to the casters, Mr. X and Uber.
Thank you very much, Malik, and you're not wrong. Every map matters from this point out. We've learned a lot of interesting things this series, not least of all that a 26-year-old man's voice can still break. But as it stands, we're one apiece in this series. Did you really think we'd be here at the start of the game?
No, I thought the Florida Mayhem would be better. I did not expect Arc not to be able to play today. That's probably something that I would have taken into consideration.
How much of a difference do you think this really makes, though?
I think it does when you have your Lucio player, right? And if you want to play Dive, we've seen them play a lot of Tracer Genji thus far. Just with the speed boosts and the timings of sound barriers and how many people you actually connect with, I do think it has some effect.
Well, let's see if that can be overcome on the side of the NYXL, or if you're a Mayhem fan. To see them get their second victory of this season, I'm sure would be a big deal. Again, lost the last 5 of their matches. It's been a rough road for Florida. They've had to go up against a lot of quality teams. I mean, they came so close to downing the Fusion in that final week. But Matt, Kings Row, we're back.
It's great to see this map back into play. I personally, this is one of, I would say if I had to pick my 2 favorite maps, it'd probably be Kings Row and Dorado. Those would probably be my 2 favorite. Kings Row, just so many different strategies you can run at any point in the map, right? You know, from the offensive or defensive end. So I just love the versatility of things you can see on, in Kings Row.
Again, we have quite a flat start to the map as well. We see the second stage, and even towards the end here, limited verticality, limited options for heroes to really use high ground to their advantage. And we often see Zarya, Reinhardt, Roadhog, D.Va thrown in the mix, and people just sort of grinding it out, trying to make some progress. And of course, here is the end of the map, which is always conducive to those stall scenarios. And the call will be scrap all robots. I think young Jonak might have something to say about that. But on the defensive side, Matt, let's now put this Florida Mayhem setup under the microscope.
Yeah, so they're going to be running Swoosh on Winston, Manitin on D.Va. It's kind of consistent what we see from them all the time. They're going to have Tvik play Junkrat here. Usually when you saw Junkrat on the defensive end on this map, you would see like an Orisa and you would play a little bit further in that back corner. Sebosai on top. Lucio just kind of dancing around the wall. So you're going to see him play the Lucio here. Maybe you can kind of play a little bit closer to the point as NYXL's just... what is going on today? It's a very innovative. They're using all their sprays, but maybe you have the Lucio in play where you can back out to that back left corner, with that speed boost, get out of harm's way rather quickly, because you don't have a shield for Tvik to hide behind. Playing that Junkrat just spam constantly.
Yeah, I guess he has to really try and, again, not give line of sight over to his opponents. Okay, Swoosh repositioning there using the jump pack, and that seems to be the starter's pistol going off for the NYXL. They thought about it anyway. Oh, hello.
They back out right away because they notice that Tvik is set up on that top right side high ground. They don't want to go towards the point to that back left side because they're just going to get spammed in their back with those Junkrat grenades. So look, now they try and go through that front side. Mecho's going to be able to eat up a lot of that damage from Tvik.
Libero spots the trap, or at least the debris of one. Wanting to remove Tvik. That is the biggest priority here, and that's why Saviobi and Libero are set up on this high ground. Another trap removed, and there it is. There's going to be the dive coming in. Tvik, it's going to get left upon. Great peel back from Manitin. He protects his back line, and Tvik, of course. Micro Rockets find their mark, and Libero is down. But Saviobi's got a little bit of room to breathe here. With Manitin desuited, that defense matrix is not going to be available for the purposes of peel, and Saviobi deals with Zabasai, who was on his own. Now, the NYXL spawn a lot closer to this part of the map, so they don't really need to overcommit just yet. But Manitin won't be getting his mech back anytime soon.
Still have Zabosai coming off the spawn as Lucio, so he's going to be coming in very quickly. It's going to be a bomb that connects with Saviobi. He will drop at the hands of Tvik's Riptire, though.
Tvik burning some rubber, and Saviobi was the deer in the headlights. He recalled right into the path of that Riptire, and now Libero realizes he needs to abscond. The Transcender's going to make it very hard for him to find a target without a Dragon Blade, and even then, it would only have been traces and the like. Oh! With a flourish, he produces some shurikens and sends them across the map. Tvik's down, and there's no resurrect, no mercy on the side of Florida in both senses of the term.
And no sound barrier yet. They're going to get very close here, Florida, to deal with this Dragon Blade if it comes on through. You're going to have Dragon Blade plus Transcendence. That'll be the sound barrier that comes in from the Mayhem. Here's going to be the one from NYXL. Expect this Dragon Blade probably right after.
All right, Libero waiting for his chance, and he's got it now. This is one slash to deal with Zebasai. Tvik all on his own up on high. Reflect was there. Tvik trying to get away with that one. Maybe a quick dropped trap, but it wasn't enough to prolong his lifespan whatsoever. The NYXL dig deep for the ultimates, but they pay off, and that's the first point. They're on the road.
Well, they hold on to their Transcendence. They see the sound barrier come in for the Florida Mayhem. They use their own sound barrier, just kind of sit on the point, wait until it wears off from the side of Florida, then use that Dragon Blade. You get a ton of value from it. You get 2 kills. You unlock that point, and you unlock the payload. You start to get it moving down the streets.
Is it a bad every time I hear that go off? I think of the AC/DC song, Hell's Bells. Ding, 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 ding. Another one?
No, I can't say I do.
It's a classic.
I'm sure
you're gonna get hated on for not knowing that song. Everyone knows AC/DC. Anyway,
that's okay.
Giannis drops in. Jonak actually looking a little bit low in those backline. Oh no, he's caught his Transcendence. I mean, it's not going to stop his ultimate at the very least, but it doesn't really give him the option to elect where to provide that healing. Regardless, he's found it. Sabiobi gets the T-suit on Manhattan, and Zebasai is going to go down here. So this should be you're continuing to advance. Pretty clean fight from them. Florida holding on to a lot of those ultimates.
And I think you see, both of these teams throughout this series just trying to feel each other out, right? There's such a drastic change of play when Mercy's not in all of the time and you don't have the double res and the Valkyrie and whatnot, that I think you see like a lot more of a brawling style with these two teams, right? Everybody's spread out, just kind of fighting these like one-on-ones on different sides of the map. I think both teams just trying to figure out how to play around this, especially New York, right? Trying to figure out how to play with a new support player right now.
Yeah, again, the interim presence. Interesting they don't use Libero as that support he was doing in the preseason, but of course they got other plans. Riptire finds Giannis here. Is this the go? Florida in control for the moment, but Zebasai constantly getting picked on in this round by Sabiobi. He gets knocked off course though, and he's forced to drop back into his defensive zone and benefit from some healing. Care of the Lucio and Harmony orb, and a good chance for Florida now to shore up their defenses a bit. The sandbags are out. Plug the dam for the time being.
And I think you see Libero playing Genji and not the support, like you mentioned. He played support in the preseason.
Yeah,
He's
just
playing
a side note.
Well, he was playing a lot of the flex support in the preseason, right? And maybe they practiced a ton of dive with Arc, and you want to see that still in play. It'll be a self-destruct that comes in from Manhattan, just trying to get back into his mech. Because NY, they've opened up a lot of space here to make a play.
Oh, Manhattan, a lot of damage from the reflect. Libero wants to capitalize, but the sound barrier now dissuading him from being able to get these easy targets. However, Swoosh fell in the process again. A lot of ultimates being driven into this fight. Libero gets little done, but Sabiobi instead finds himself a couple kills in the D-suit. Tvik there got caught out. Oh, Libero now on the cleanup crew. And of course, the Shuriken dash combo, deadly to a Junkrat below full HP.
And it doesn't look like he got a ton of value out of that blade in terms of kills, but he dives on into the back line. Zebasai, Tvik, and Zupe have to back out. Respect the fact that the Dragon Blade's coming out of. It leaves Swoosh and Manhattan in basically a 2-on-5 on the payload. Those two players drop right away, and you're never able to get back to the cart if you're the Florida Mayhem.
Again, Swoosh defensively using his jump back to try and get back, but he's just caught out in front. Meko, easy damage with those auto cannons. Winston just presented himself as an easy target. Zupe knows he needs to go into the Transcendence now. It's go time for the Mayhem. They've got to stop the New York Excelsior right here, right now. Meko with a self-destruct, Jonak down, and this is what the Mayhem were looking for, but it might get turned in their face. Meko somehow not only gets rid of Manhattan with that boot, but also removes him from the game in Pilot Diva form. Backs away, a bit of time with the Bunny Blaster. Just to remind him that he still cares about it, and then back in the back.
Yeah, but for New York, you're going to end up with a good set of ultimates to use in this next fight. You're going to have Mano with his sound barrier, probably keep everybody up for an extended period of time. Jonak will, in that time, build up towards the Transcendence, and then you'll have Dragon Blade. No support ult on the other side.
So. No support ults. That's a big one, Matt. Let's see if Tvik can actually, remedy that potential deficit by getting a couple big kills. Nope, not going to be the case. Jonak catches it there with an Orb of Destruction, but Meko is removed before NYXL can start the fight. They were busy disengaging from that Riptire, and in the process, lost one of their own. They'll have to reset.
Well, I mean, you can wait, though. I mean, it's not really the worst thing in the world, right? They forced Tvik, well, Tvik tried to use that Riptire to buy the Mayhem some time.
I think it's a good idea. Zupe might have a Transcendence next fight.
But you do have the Blade on the table right now with both support ults. You may be able to get him before that Transcendence comes into play.
And that would have to be devastating, except for the fact that Saviobi gets picked off early, and that's the go signal. NYXL can't use ultimates in this fight. So the window that was there was a real opportunity for them to make the most of the fact that Florida had no support ultimates. Is gone. It's gone.
And it's really Logic's the one who buys them all the time. You talked about fixed Riptire, right? That's great, but it was Logic's who defect Meko took him out from D.Va, and then it was Logic's this time, winning that 1v1 versus Saviobi.
Mano's low HP, he needs to sit in the backlines for a little longer, and Giannis going down early to Maniton. Libero again. No point going for that blade right now because Logix and Swoosh have just whacked the floor with the NYXL. They've used ults to do it, but they've still got plenty remaining, including both of the support ultimates now. NYXL have to start using their own support ultimates to stay in these fights.
It's been a great defense on this last point from Florida. They're able to win a few of these fights without their support ults. Also, not allowing NYXL to get one of those powerful support ult Dragon Blade combinations. You're gonna have to pick with another Riptire. He's able to pick up one with that. It could be huge for Florida.
Giannis is half HP right now. The front line of the NYXL is taking a beating. And Saviobi decides to join their ranks. Maniton, Orb of Discord, he's low. Self-destruct popped in over the top of Libero, falling to a concussive mine. In the meantime, Saviobi needs to think of a big pulse bomb right now, and he might be looking for Zupe now. He gets in between Zupe and the rest of the Mayhem, but nothing is found so far. Jonak with his own Transcendence, but Meko's not here. Mano also missing. Riptide finding its mark now. Primal Rage. Everything is being committed to this fight by the NYXL. Again, his last chance saloon for these guys, and Zebasai falls. He didn't have an ultimate. Tvik responds with his own concussive mine. Giannis is down. Dash in by Meko, trying to protect Libero. Defense Matrix out in front of the Cyber Soldier, and it's worked out. Tvik's half HP now. Saviobi working around the side. Logix is down. Here we go. Here we go. The NYXL now starting to make some progress finally, but they've used everything, Matt.
Yeah, Janus will come off spawn. He's very far away from NYXL right now, so Florida Mayhem have a chance to jump on this. It'll be Tvik switching over to Doomfist, coming out for that stall, that one-shot kill potential. It's going to be Swoosh jumping on top of the payload.
Oh, Libero didn't quite get away. He took a lot of damage from the landing of Swoosh there. It's a 1-for-1 trade thus far, but Tvik gives up his life in order to take down Manu. Now on the point, Giannis is looking worse for wear himself. Meko with a Harmony Orb, but it's not enough to keep him alive, and Madison gets desuited, but it's sheer weight of numbers here for the NYXL, pressuring forward, bearing down at a rate of knots, and Jonak there. What a great time to have a Transcendence in this fight. The rest of the NYXL can again reconvene around that healing aura and work their way back in, but the Doomfist is returned. Jonak gets taken apart in midair, dismantled. Fade now used by Zupe on that Moira to stay safe on the point, but a tactical violence is going to make it hard for them to stick around. Madison doesn't get there in time. Every last ounce of ultimate charge, effort, and concentration was required for New York to get the map done. They do finish it off.
Tons of people dying at the end for New York, kills on both teams.
Tons of people dying.
And Saviobi just lives all through it. He does not fall there at the end. He's able to stay up. He's got Jonak there. You saw them both kind of just joking around. I mean, those guys were alive forever on the payload. Saviobi finishes that first half. 27 limbs, 14 final blows, 3 deaths. Now over on the other side, Logix, who he said was playing quite well on the Tracer, right? He was able to pick up a few kills. 16 eliminations, 5 final blows, 6 deaths. So you see that big difference in terms of Tracer play.
That makes a huge difference. Saviobi rising to the occasion on that particular map. Staying alive is often the toughest job, and he's managed to do that well. Jonak as well would come back. Let's orbit back to the subject. Jonak's having big damage, despite lack of a Mercy damage boost of some sort. However, some of the ultimate timings from NYXL, not great. They were also just getting picked off. You've got to hand it though. We talk about this perceived difference in Tracer performance just by looking at the numbers, but you will have to note that Logix was what kept Florida afloat.
Yes.
In that last phase when they were at a distinct ultimate disadvantage. They didn't have either support ultimate. New York were looking like they're about to, finish the job with a couple minutes remaining, but it was Logix who managed to stagger them and get that first pick in a couple of those fights.
He bought them 2 fights pretty much that never began because he was able to get early picks that allowed them to build up both support ults.
Like a minute of time.
Yeah, both support ults, a pulse bomb, and another Riptire in that span. So that is a huge win, a huge thing that Logix did for this Florida Mayhem team there on the defensive end.
Yeah, and that's 14 final blows, not eliminations, by the way, which is massive. That's so big from Saviobi. Let's see now the Florida Mayhem. It feels like it's been forever, but it's their chance to attack now. They are running Reinhardt. Curiously, no Zarya here.
Well, I really like what they've done with the Moira as well. That's what I like that we've seen from Florida Mayhem. So Maniton will play Roadhog here. go around this corner. They've taken this good positioning here.
A bit of a do-si-do. They've rotated here through to Alderworth Hotel, and now to the point. Sabiobi's low, Beko is as well. NYXL have taken so much poke damage early on, and the big burly bodies of the Florida Mayhem just make that even harder to come back from now. Madison just popping off. That'll be another one for him. The hook connects, but Tvik had already found Jonak. Promising signs early here for the Mayhem.
Well, it's a shame we have to see Manitin play so much Diva, right? This time it'll be Logic's playing Diva because he is such a fantastic Roadhog player. Really one of his best heroes. You see it come through there. So it'll be the Mayhem running that triple tank composition. With Tvik, the solo DPS player in this instance, playing Junkrat, so just a lot of front-loaded damage. It's going to be very difficult for New York to just dive on top of this. That's why you're going to see Libero switch over to a Junkrat as well, trying to break through some of these tanks.
Riptire at the ready. Tvik also, here's a myriad of very helpful positions to actually set that forth from. Obviously, up on the high ground, we want to see him break some of those tanks in, and that would be a good chance to do so. Staying safe, sitting back now. Meko's mech is removed. Oh, nicely done there. You can see that Jonak's forced to stay in position, and as soon as he comes out of the transcendent, Tvik just blows him into smithereens. Now dropping in over the top is Janus. Again, the use of the primer range will secure the kill. There's not much Tvik can do about that one, and now he's got more. Into the backline. The rest of the Mayhem now have to turn their heads and address the threat. The very angry monkey tearing their stuff up. Nice Riptire from Libero to be thrown in here, and the Mayhem are having strips torn off of them in this fight.
Yeah, now New York is starting to push them back. This is a very dangerous choke for the Mayhem to get stuck at. They do have a sound barrier. They're going to get a Coalescence here. It'll be an Earth Shatter. It takes out Janus, but it's going to be Mono coming in, saving him. With that sound barrier, it's going to be a 3-person self-destruct, though, from Meko. That destroys any kind of progress the Mayhem would have made.
Now, hard to see where that came from, and maybe Florida are in the same boat there because they were following up on that Earth Shatter, hoping to get something for it. You have to wonder if Mano even needed to use that sound barrier to save Janus. All right, let's see that. So, yeah, Janus gets knocked down. Mano goes in with that sound barrier, and look at that placement there with the self-destruct. When you're halfway through trying to follow up on your own Earth Shatter, you're never going to get away from that. Nice play.
Yeah, Swoosh tries to charge the opposite way as Reinhardt to get out of it, but not able to do so. Doesn't have the shield to protect some of his teammates. It'll be a sound barrier and Riptire used by the Mayhem. Nothing from the Riptire.
I don't know where that was really going there. Riptire gets picked up before it really gets anywhere. Libero's Riptire was removed by Manitin now. That could have been the end of the fight for the Mayhem, but they're going to keep going. Again, they still want more. Chain Hook misses for Manitin, though, and we can see this is some serious poke damage. In between those take-a-breather cooldowns, he can't afford to be so aggressive, especially he's playing into Libero's Junkrat here. He can be dismantled in a matter of seconds, even with 600 HP. Hook. Oh, he's found Jonak! That's what he was looking for! It's a lucky dip, gone right. And that might be the impetus now for a successful fight for the Florida Mayhem. Then another self-destruct from Meko. By the way, that's a very quick one. Oh, he's gotten 5 self-destruct kills from 2 self-destructs.
Sabiobi hits a pulse bomb on a Swoosh, takes him out. No shield to hide behind, and then self-destruct goes off. The Florida Mayhem gotten stopped this choke. They'll have Logics switch off of Diva. We'll go over to McCree. No, potentially even against this Junkrat, right? You could have ran triple tank with a Zarya here in the streets, right? And gotten a ton of value. This is where we see Zarya do pretty well here for a lot of teams.
His Roadhog is actually one of the best I've seen, to be quite clear with you. He's a very good Zarya player as well. So Logix picks Janus off screen. Libero's tire gets removed. Logix is sharp. Nice little turnaround here. Manitin's found Meko on his own. I don't know if Meko gets away with this one. No. Micro Rockets just to try and find something. But that'll be the second pick for the Florida Mayhem in this fight. And they should get some progress now. They've broken the deadlock and they're bearing down upon that second checkpoint. Mano manages to get away. No, it's Logix actually to clean him up. And McCree switch paying off already.
Yeah, and Jonak will get away with his life for now. They'll have Transcendence to come back in for New York. You'll have Primal Rage as well. Florida just trying to put down a lot of damage for some of these ults out a little bit earlier than New York would have liked. There's going to be the Primal Rage and that Transcendence.
Yeah, and that was provoked by the Earth Shatter being used by Swoosh there. Once again, he knocks Giannis to the ground. Logic's now going in for that Deadeye, hoping to catch out an overextended player from New York, but finds little except a bit of damage. It'll have to do the job for now. Magic hooks himself a Diva there as well. Pulse Bomb dropped just behind him. He avoids most of the damage, and Meko gets desuited. Magic now moves to the backline here, goes for some right-click action. Florida going to recommit to the fight right about now, but the sound barrier is going to make this tire hard to connect, and Tvik doesn't get anything for it. Janus actually takes it down, curiously enough. And Tvik destroys Libero's tire himself. Neither Junkrat able to make a huge mark with those ultimates. And now the Mayhem are back for more.
And they gotta be careful, the Mayhem. We have Meko with another self-destruct here. He's gonna launch it on in. We get Swoosh very low. Zubik gonna get a coalescence here. Let's see how they use it.
Zubik just frantically trying to deal out some healing, but the burst of Libero is too much. Notice that Zupa has very little healing resource available to him here. He was trying to get some right-click action done. Nothing doing.
And Manitin goes over to D.Va, so you won't be playing with the Roadhog anymore. They're gonna try and get a little bit more aggressive with D.Va in play, a little bit more mobility. I definitely would have loved to see Azari at some point. This is one of the better maps for Azari, and especially with the Junkrat on the other team, this close streets area, you can get high charge so easy.
I don't care if Logix plays it at this stage. It'd be really good to see that one happen. Good flash though, manages to catch Giannis as he hits the backline and he's not getting out. There's no chance. Deadeye for Logix here. What can you find with this one? Again, a good use against the Transcendence. You can't survive Deadeye, even if you're getting healed up. Jonark's way out of position. No way he's surviving the one. Libero saving this one for a rainy day, but it might be time. No, Tvik sees it coming. Concussive by throw. Riptide destroyed. Manu now going to be getting desuited. Meko, should I say. And now NYXL, it's a full-scale rout. They've been pushed back into their own base. And they're hard-fought milestones, Matt. But the Mayhem have a crack at getting the map done themselves.
And they've really started to make a lot of progress when you've seen Logic switch off of D.Va and go over to McCree. Seems a lot more comfortable on this hero as mainly a DPS player. We don't really see him play a ton of the tanks as CNY trying to get in the faces of the Florida Mayhem. They're actually going to use that primal range. They force Swoosh back all the way to their side of the map. It'll be Tvik who picks up Saviel beat with a Riptire, and Meko takes him out with a self-destruct. So a bunch of ultimates used from both teams here. It's New York really just trying to buy themselves some time. Only 50 seconds left now for Florida.
Yeah, essentially New York were happy just to get the Mayhem below 1 minute, which means that they actually get a chance to go again, get a chance to attack. It's important. Saviel beat Pulse Bomb here, and this could break this one wide open.
You get them below a minute. You have Saviel beat with a Pulse Bomb who could just kind of connect on one player, stop any other push. So you see it's going to be Jonak using that Transcendence as Swoosh comes in with that Earth Shatter to start things off.
Pulse Bomb doesn't stick. Saviel beat wishful thinking on that one. His target was moving rather fast. Moira can be hard to catch when using that Coalescence. However, it's a disengage for now. The Mayhem heal the Riptide. Libro's more than happy just to bide his time. Tvik removes it, but still bought valuable seconds. This is going to put Florida Mayhem into the red zone as they try and finish the map. And now backing this up with a sound barrier might make it impossible for Florida to get themselves an overtime to speak of. This could be the map over right here. Saviel is chasingly, doggedly pursuing Zebasai and eventually finds his mark. Overtime, it's almost done. No one's going to get there. Tvik trying his best synchronized diving routine, but he's cut painfully short of his objective. And New York, what a bloody and brutal battle. Well, they come out on top to make a 2-1 in maps, Matt.
Yeah, Florida, they started to make some progress through that second point of the map. So Logic's running that McCree is very effective. Not enough, though. New York hangs on, takes map number 3.
Check this out. Apparently, we've seen a few signs so far today. We've seen some classic ones. Let's End Walk was the call. And what do we do, Matt? What do we do when people ask for things? We give it to them. Check it out. Man spreading harder than I do on watch point, this guy, but at least he's walking. That's impressive. Oh, I love it. Bit of fun, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do here at the Blizzard Arena. We'll see you when we return for map 4. It's 2-1, New York.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
is on the scene.
솔직히 빅보스란 거에 대해서 좀 얘기하자면은 개인적으로 제 생각에는 좀 불안감이 좀 크죠.
Pine gets Benny with the Deadeye. This guy is unstoppable.
뭐라 네임드 자체가 잘해야 되는 거는 확실한데
Pine with 3. Pine with 4, in fact.
너무 부담감이 크긴 해요. 거기에 대한 부담감이 크고.
Just gonna kill everybody.
Oh!
잘 되면 기분은 좋은데 말이 길어지네요.
Not many Widowmakers would go for this play.
Yeah, but Pine would.
위험한 플레이를 많이 하니까 저희한테도 이제 하이 리스크 하이 리턴이 오는 거죠. 아 그러니까 상대한테 와우 빅 보스고 우리한테도 오 빅 보스 쓴 거죠. Careful 약간 이런 느낌이에요.
Are you kidding me? This guy's a living highlight reel, man.
보스란 게 너무 잘 어울려서.
커서 빅이라서 일단 최강 보스가 아니고 뚱뚱해서.
아니 여러분이로. 리베로의 별명은 미니 보스.
How can you say, by the way, that the name Big Boss gives you pressure when all your job is to get on stage, destroy people, dab a couple times.
A lot of pressure, man.
Pick your keyboard up and walk back off. I mean, Pine makes such a big impact when he comes into this team, and he's talked about it as well. The impact, I think Sabion mentioned it, the impact that he has on the enemy team coming in.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a mind game, right? It's so hard to just deal with Pine, but it's also like kind of that pressure of the bird, right? Everybody expects these crazy highlight plays from him, like come in and just headshot everybody. Just it's a lot of pressure on the guy.
I mean, it's kind of true. It's canon.
I mean, he does it pretty consistently. So
we also sort of use him as an example. I guess we refer to other instances in where teams are bringing in McCrees to, especially control point maps. I think we saw it quite a lot between the Outlaws and the Spitfire last season. McCree sets up the damage, Tracer finishes it off. Pine's great at that 1-2 punch or being part of that combo, but Gibraltar we're going to be heading on to for that next map. So it's more likely, Matt, that would be a Widow pick for Pine.
That's what I was going to say. I think he can be playing the Widowmaker on this map. Also switch over to whether it's 76 or McCree. We saw him play a little bit of Genji earlier as well, so he can definitely play a lot of the heroes. I definitely expect his Widowmaker to be in play here. You saw it, in one of the clips. I think it was on at Junkertown in the match against London, where he drops down from behind and kills 4 players as Widow. Just absolutely nuts.
It's actually the kind of stuff that we haven't seen since early on, even in the beta of Overwatch, back when Widowmaker could zoom, scope and unscope very quickly. You could do it almost, crazy fast, looking down the sights. And they obviously in the game that they introduced a delay where if you look down the scopes and then you release right click, there would be a delay before you could do it again. The guys at Linksu used to be all the time. So I mean that's what's quite incredible is now Widowmaker that increase of that Look, you get more grapple hooks, right? That's what I'm trying to say, basically. The reduction on the cooldown of her grappling hook allows her to play more aggressively and still get out of trouble after a couple of seconds, fighting on the ground.
That Widow has gotten a little bit of a buff. It's pretty much what you wanted to say. That she has more escapability now than once before. It took you a while to get there. Took the scenic route.
That looks like my bath mat now.
Oh,
nice job.
NYXL's making bath mats.
Looks like mine. Everyone's bath mat. Might not be your cup of tea, Matt.
I actually saw. What was funny is when the last map when I saw all the guys on their quad POV, they're all talking to each other, and they were actually trying to plan that out together. That was what they were trying. I was like, oh, maybe they're talking about a hero swap. No, they're just trying to get their sprays right.
Clearly feeling the pressure, Matt.
It's about getting the important stuff right.
Now, well, style points aside. Pine would like to accrue some damage points now, and he's placed himself fairly far forward in a position that will be very dangerous to dive in. Straight away, Florida see this. They see the setup from New York. They back away now. They're going to try and use their high ground ledge and make it a little bit harder for New York to access them. But they're still going to worry about Pine. If they want to do anything, if they want to interact with New York and stop this payload, they still need to face the wrath of this Widowmaker at some point.
Interesting that they swapped their Tracer player too, did the Florida Mayhem. To Vic playing Tracer and Logic's playing 76, when on Lijiang Tower we saw it the exact opposite way.
Florida are trying to do a bit of ghosting here on New York. Stay out of sight. Oh, it's not going to work! Pine just gets up close, and I mean, there's no chance for Zebasai to react to that as well. I think he probably peeked down to try and get a biotic grenade straight into the crosshair of Pine. Florida. Where are you guys? What are you doing? What's the play here? Hard to see. I mean, they're almost at the checkpoint, by the way. This is not going to be pretty at all, Matt. Madison's the only player really over on the point right now, and Sabiobi charges in. Swoosh jumps down, but it's just one at a time stuff. Not how you want to really play at this stage. Yikes.
Yeah, and Pine gets both supports in that final fight as well. And that first shot that he hits on Zebo, he's playing Ana. You know how difficult it is, like with the headshot box on Ana, to like connect with one of those flying. She's a really hard hero to hit. You see from Pine's POV. I mean, look, he makes it easy when people are darting at him. If you give him that much space to just align shots up and not think about players running at him, he's just going to pick you apart all day.
Pine has a third of New York's kills, which is 9 kills for New York. 1 kill for the Mayhem. They've gotten 1 final blow amongst their entire team so far, and they're getting bundled the heck out of Gibraltar real quick. Perhaps they were trying to evade tax, Matt. Maybe that's why they went there in the first place. Well, Big Boss Pine's here not only to make sure you're paying tax, but repossess your furniture. That's what he does.
This is not, well, look, I think the Mayhem are in a difficult spot, right? They didn't have a great comp to deal with this Widowmaker on their initial stage. They kind of get split off, they get staggered. And then we know what can happen, right? As soon as you take point A, you get those split spawns where somebody gets that spawn for point A, and then somebody gets this next spawn behind that hangar door. You get split yet again. Things have just not looked good for Florida here. But you see a lot of these battles, right, Mitch? They're just like one-on-one. Their single B connects to Zebo side, just runs right into him. But you never see everybody on Florida all together, right? Like it's 2 players split off against 4 or 5 from New York.
Worse here. Yeah, it gets worse here. They had a slight split spawn now, and Pine can go forward. This is a snowballing map. I think we were talking about this yesterday in the car. We sort of get hyped in the morning over our coffee, talk about what we might see. We did say, like, Gibraltar is that kind of map. If you can't set up in the second stage and get high ground, get shuttle control, then you'll be onto the third stage before you can say, where are my healers?
And because of these fights have gone so fast, you see Logix will show up to Widowmaker now, trying to challenge Pine a little bit. Vic putting some pressure on him. Swoosh just jumping in. There's the escapability you talked about. But, you know, because the Zebo side gets picked off early and they never get another fight, he still doesn't have that sound packer. So yeah, both support ults available for New York if you want to use it. It'll be a self-destruct from Manitin to get right back into his mech. It'll be Swoosh using a Primal Rage to kill Meko. So you look to see Florida holding on right now. Let's see how much longer they can do it for them.
1 kill increases Florida's overall kill count by 20%. Do the math on that one. Logic's found Giannis. Jonah. Just to back up. Now, there's been no real need for these support ultimates to be drawn out. The fight was essentially over before New York realized it. At the same time, New York haven't had to use support ults really all map, so it's not the worst thing. It's not like they're building up this unassailable lead in ultimate economy. Zupé does have a trance as well. What does Sabiobi want?
They have no idea he's here.
Hey, he's just chilling. He's even in there. He's in their periphery. Like, you could see this. Maybe he was spotted there by Zupé. Oh, okay.
He's still not been called out?
He's been accosted, at least. Zupé, that is. Pine found Logix switching over to the Widowmaker to try and have some control in a long-range fight. So far, not so great. But Pine falls to Manitin now to 5v5 with the Transcendence in the mix here. NYXL with the advantage, but Mano can't stay alive. The Pulse Bomb, well stuck. Sabiobi couldn't reciprocate, which actually put NYXL at a disadvantage despite still having an active Transcendence in the fight. Burst damage is king, but it wasn't enough, even that.
Janice, Meko, and Sabiobi are doing so much work on the payload that, you know, Jonak is able to stay alive through this, just sit in the back. He's not challenged by anybody. You know, Florida trying to go into the back, protect their supports. They're allowing Jonak to just put down a ton of damage at range.
Payload getting dangerously close to its mark here, and Meko's more than happy just to pick targets one by one. Zeverside has a Harmony Orb, but barely keeps him alive. Zupé really trying to stitch him up before he gets back onto the field. Sound barrier here, staying power. That's the name. Sabiobi drops the Pulse Bomb in, but quickly Florida being bundled back into their own spawn to avoid a lot of damage. Sabiobi now can get around behind. Who does he want? Zeverside's already been dealt with. Swoosh isn't far away from getting taken down. And the Transcendence here should just make things easier.
And Pine is up on that bridge, just able to just rain down shots. Nobody on the Mayhem can deal with him right now.
I think that's it, Matt. I don't think there's any chance of coming back into this one. Rough. I mean, this is the map, but look, as the statistics read, 33 kills for New York, 8 for Florida. Not much success when it comes to the damage game.
Well, when the Widowmaker doesn't work for the Mayhem on defense, I would have liked to see them just go back where Tvik can play Genji and Logix could have played Tracer, right? Then you would have given yourself a chance to deny some of that high ground towards the end of the map. To Pine, right? He gets right up on that close bridge, makes it very difficult if you're 76, right? I mean, you have a Winston in your face, Diva as well, Sabiobi playing Tracer. you're not able to get any shots up at Pine on that bridge. So maybe I would have liked to see them go a little bit more towards that dive comp where we saw Florida have some success.
Might have been the option for them. But again, trying to regain some sense of control where Gibraltar's a map where you can get split spawned actually on more than one occasion. You can get split spawned in after the first checkpoint and the second as a defending team. It can be a little bit annoying when you want to properly set up again. And Florida could have taken high ground control, Matt. That's all well and good, but you're still susceptible to Pine. You're still susceptible to long range damage, and then Giannis and Meko can just jump on top of you. Sabiobi can get across. What an idyllic picture of a map that so far has been a nightmare for the Mayhem.
Well, look, just like the Mayhem got snowballed and NY was able to complete the map with 2 minutes and 40 seconds in the time bank, which is quite a lot of time. Florida can easily do that back, right? We talked about how much of a snowball this map can get.
Where do they start?
Look, it's going to have to be with Logic's winning this Widowmaker battle, putting a lot of pressure on NY, and then just using that Widowmaker to just deny area on the map, maybe split some players off, then take advantage of it. That's when it comes down to, Swoosh and Tavik and even Zebo, right, with the speed boost, just kind of identifying who's alone and then when to jump on those players.
I wonder how likely it is that we see NYXL get sort of shut down by Logic's here in this Widowmaker.
I'm not saying it's likely.
Right.
It's possible.
All right, well, that's enough for me, Matt, to be honest. Logic's now getting some infrastructure set up, just making sure if Sabiobi tries to flank him, he'll know about it. Okay, Pine leaps out into the open, swings his rifle and says, "Come at me, bro." Logic opts out of it, but then finds Pine later on. Almost no reaction from the man on screen there as well. It's another day at the office here for the resident Belgian on the Florida Mayhem.
And they also got a DMEC on Meko, so NYXL down there, Diva. They get Janice very low, so you see they're starting to take advantage here of some of these players. Split off from the rest. Swoosh goes back in, doesn't want to just get deleted by Jonak.
Okay.
They're just going to wait for some players to come out of these doors and then just pounce on them.
The NYXL have been chided accordingly. And now they're going to have to group up before they come back out. Sabiobi knows he's under scrutiny currently from Logic's and is hoping that Pine will be able to sort of break that, get his Widowmaker into the game. But so far it's not been great. Jonak going down. Swoosh has found two, both supports. That's a huge contribution from the Winston player here for the Florida Mayhem, who I must say has been incredibly well improved over recent times. Pine was dead before Tvik could even get to him because Logic is popping off in the server room. And this is a beautiful way to start for the Florida Mayhem. And they're not done yet. They're going to stagger out these couple players. Again, Marlo and Jonak down.
Both supports they get, so they're going to get some free progress on the payload. I would have loved to see them go to this Genji on defense, right? Because you could just kind of play games with Pine and that you can jump at him with the Genji. If he hits a shot and gets him low, then you can have Logis come out and peek him a little bit. Then you can throw different looks at him, right? Just always constant pressure in his face.
And then very plucky from Pine to decide to stay on the Widowmaker, to double down. Try and fight back. He actually found Tvik earlier on there. Now, so he's being chased. Swoosh really wants this. Pine waiting a couple seconds for the grapple hook cooldown. I think he's going to be okay. He'll be able to get back up to safety. He does. Even though he was knocked off course, he still gets to his intended location. Self-destruct now thrown in the backside, and Tvik trying to go for something big there with a Dragon Blade, but he's cut there by Meko midway through. Logic's. Who's he going to find here? Mano really just trying to stay safe out in the backside. Logic's getting nothing from the poison mine either, but the kills have been there. Sabiobi Jonak down. This is great from the Mayhem. They're really motoring on.
And Pine has actually taken a position back by the Florida Mayhem spawn. He will get taken out by Tvik.
What a shocker that is.
So you see Janice uses Primal Rage. He'll take out Zebo. It's NYXL. They want to extend this fight. They want to make it as costly for Florida as possible.
Okay, well, it looks like the Mayhem have been forced back for the time being. Breaking back in quickly. Pine flanking. The distraction value perhaps actually giving an opening for New York to push forward and have Florida turn their backs on them. Again, Pine does that. It's kind of like a global taunt. Everyone wants to go for him or knows that they need to remove him as quickly as possible. Pine staying close to his team there as well. Note the presence of Giannis there in front of him to protect him in case there's a dive. Oh, that was clever. Logic couldn't jump across that opening. He used the grappling hook because he knew he'd get picked off. Otherwise, Pine could be in trouble. The healing comes at just the right time, though.
And they just have both healers just sitting on top of Pine, just bringing him back to life. It'll be a sound barrier that comes up from NYXL. connects with only 2 other players outside of Mono, so you had Meko and Sable get
he was waiting for him!
Logix gets a great position, he takes out Pine, but maybe just a few members of Florida Mayhem down, too much to make a push here. You had both supports dead.
This is a scary part of the map because the Florida Mayhem have done what New York didn't. They have allowed their opponents to set up in the second phase of the map. They've allowed them to take high ground control. They've allowed them to set up inside the shuttle, to set their tanks up forward in positions where they can just drop down and then use the Winston jump to get out of trouble free. Not a good sign as an attacking team. You really need to try and do your best to circumvent this stage of the map if possible.
See, Pine will use his infra sight, allow Sable B to gain all this information, just clips Zebo side there. So you don't have your Lucio for the Florida Mayhem. Now you're starting to see Florida just get staggered time again. Somebody's got to come here and help Zupe. He gets very low, no help from the remaining members as Florida backs all the way out. So Logix goes over to Tracer. I was actually going to say I would have either liked to see maybe a Tracer switch or even 76, right? You could have got 76 up on the high ground, provided 2 different looks here.
So what does Logix try to do here? What's Logix's goal on this Tracer?
Well, I think what they're going to try and do is with Swoosh and Tavik, try and force Pine down from the high ground, and then maybe use that grapple to get there, and then have Logix meet him at that point.
Oh, pulse bomb! Tavik there just getting removed by Sabiel. That is beautiful stuff, and I'm surprised he didn't get more for that. Florida were very much clumped together.
Now that just, you see Florida, they have to wait. Logix, Sabiel B's gotten like 4 or 5 picks in a row to just take this from like 2 minutes and 40 seconds down to, 1 minute and 25 and counting.
He's had a huge amount of damage so far in his half as well.
It's more than a minute wasted off the clock here by the 3 picks that he's been able to get.
Feel how long it is. It's a visceral sensation. That Florida are really having that sand timer emptied on them. But now Pine might actually elect to try and get back in behind with the use of this grappling hook here. We'll see if that's the plan. Again, cheeky shots. He's just chip damage for the most part here. Trying to cut the Mayhem down to size. 2-for-1 trade is a good result. Tavik went deep for Meko, and Swoosh tried to follow him up. But both Tavik and Swoosh were caught by a self-destruct. That's big. And I think the Excelsior, Matt, they're starting to, lean into this a little bit more now. They're starting to feel pretty confident. 45 seconds remaining. 1 support ult for the Mayhem. Something has got to give.
Yeah, both support ults for New York. You do have that Dragon Blade from Tavik. You've had it for a few fights now. You just have not been able to get any use out of it because it's been Sabiel B. Just able to get these early pickoffs through anything.
It's go time. There's no choice, Matt. He has to go in with that one. Transcendence there as well. Stymies the impact of the Dragon Blade. And the sound barrier doesn't really do a whole lot for the Florida Mayhem. After it expires, they've lost Maniton now. Pine down. Self-destruct from Maniton was able to pick him up pretty comfortably now. And Logix has a pulse bomb. Perhaps with one of the New York players' name on it. Meko looked like he wants it. Oh, the fadeaways have been so good from Logix so far today. Again, a lazy throw over the right-hand shoulder to clean up the target. Meko falls as soon as he's ejected for the mech. This was the last chance for the Florida Mayhem, and it looks like it's paid off for them now. Again, trying to force Pine away from the payload, but the reinforcements back. The cavalry, as it were, is on the way. Pine's still on the payload. He's still alive. Mano there as well, trying to keep everyone healed up, and Meko's going to drop down. This is the perfect scenario for the New York Excelsior. They spawn closer. They get to the point faster. Desperately, Zupe fades over the top of the payload to try and have some presence and stay alive at the same time. But Tavik now dashing in, had to use a swift strike just to close the gap, and it won't be enough. The New York Excelsior managed to stave off a hungry Florida Mayhem to take the series 3-1.
And a lot like at the end of King's Row where Jonak just stays alive, that time, all the fight is going down on the payload. He just walks his Zenyatta up to the high ground on the bridge, and he's just throwing down Discords and Orbs of Harmony from behind, and just so much damage. Never gets dealt with, just sits up on the bridge, pretty much like a stationary turret, just putting down a ton of extra damage there for NYXL.
I feel like we've seen that happen multiple times over the course of this series, is that New York get to opt into the fight of their own choosing, where they have a setup, they have high ground presence of a Zenyatta or an Ana or a 76 or a Widowmaker, and then they just use the bulk of their team to tie up most of the Mayhem to give exceedingly high amounts of safety and value to their backline players. When Swoosh is already engaged in the fight, especially when your Winston goes in first, very, very hard for him to have any sort of presence. Arc uses the jump pack. But Matt, that's all for us today. Let's head over the desk with Chris Puckett and the gang to start to unravel the game that was.
Thank you so much, fellas. What a series here for New York. Arc is out, Mono is in. Your tank getting the job done on support, but it wasn't just Mono. Let's talk about New York. Starting with you, Johnny, since you picked Florida Mayhem to win this whole series.
Yeah. Well, they tried.
What was the reason they did not win? Who was causing problems from New York?
Well, Sabiolvi was just wreaking havoc. And okay, we hyped up Tvick and Logix, you know. I think they stepped up the game a bit. That was pretty close, to be honest.
I won't lie, I'll agree with you.
Even though New York played a main tank on the support role, that was actually pretty close. And I think a few picks away and Florida Mayhem could have had this series in the bag. But in the end, Sabiolvi, best tracer in the world, Bren, he stepped up and got the performance done.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that one, to be honest. I mean, Sabiolvi is the best tracer in the world right now. He's the most consistent, at least, in terms of the performances he's putting out. I mean, it's so rare to see the guy even have a bad game in general. It just doesn't really happen these days.
Let's take a look here at our map 4, because this is where New York closed it out, right? They don't allow New York back in the game. And I have to ask you guys, it has to be more than a tracer, right? What is New York doing that Florida can't deal with while New York's on defense and Florida's attacking? Because that seems where Florida ran into the most issues.
Yeah, well, do you want to talk Gibraltar? Because then Pine stepped up with his Widowmaker, and that was so hard to deal with, especially when you start getting snowballed, of course, because Logix was on the Soldier 76. And if you're playing Soldier 76 versus Widowmaker, you're going to have a bad time. And that was what happened to Florida. So I think it was a bit of a confusion, I would say, because they put Tvick on the Tracer, of course, so Logix could play the Widowmaker and the Soldier 76.
Yeah.
And then you can't swap to the Genji, and you can't deal with Pine at all on the Widowmaker. And so had they swapped those two roles around specifically for this very map, I think that Tvick could have reacted faster and swapped to the Genji and actually contested the high ground together with Swoosh and tried to shut down Pine. But instead, New York Excelsior, they just capitalized on the momentum. And I mean, they just snowballed their way to victory, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, it was really just the lack of adapting by Florida to Pine's Widowmaker was the nail in the coffin in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He did have a great performance. So did Logix towards a part of that. I mean, I think there was a statistic at some point that Logix was actually outperforming him. So on the attack, Logix didn't play very well particularly, but on the defense, it sort of swept around a little bit, and now he started to pop off. But too little, too late with the adaptation.
It's got to be tough for Logix playing against Sabiolvi because he was our player of the match, sponsored by Omen, by HP. We talked about the Tracers coming into this match. Well, you look at the numbers afterwards. Sabiolvi, a 3.1 overall KD, ridiculous performance, and today his team needed him the most. Johnny, the question I had was this Zarya. We saw it on Control Center. Didn't see Sabiolvi running this on King's Row. Would you ever put the man on Zarya in the future now that we see more maps in Stage 2?
Well, looking at the aiming technique part of it, of course, Tracer and Zarya is very similar because you're both using the tracking, you know, get the damage done. So in many ways, yes, I mean, it could work out pretty well. And often you want your Zarya players to be your sort of DPS flexing into an off-tank role. So it makes sense in many ways for Sabiolvi to swap onto that Zarya. And yes, these stats, Bren.
44 kills on the supports. That is crazy. I mean, he was causing havoc, to be honest, for Florida Mayhem. Despite the fact that it was a close game, could have gone either way, he was one of the real key reasons as to why New York Excelsior ran away with a win today.
I would love to go ask Zebasai right now, how many times did Sabiolvi one-clip you? Because as a Lucio, there's nothing more frustrating than knowing your opponent is perfect. That is going to do it for, I would never know. That's going to do it for our second match of the day, but we're not done. When we come back, we got the final one for you. Can Philly get revenge? They're going up against a very tough Boston squad.